This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Only Friends podcast. We are very graciously joined by an extension of the Only Friends family, the one and only Marle SPRAGG.
She's mostly friends.
She's a very viable replacement for Landon.
Yes.
Yeah.
My hair's not quite as luscious, but...
Right, like what you give up in the hair, you contribute in worldly knowledge and
Thank you.
balancing out the feminine energy in here.
Yeah.
Also, Christian's back doing the same.
Balancing the feminine energy.
We missed you, big guy.
Energy.
When do you leave again?
I'll be out of town Friday. You got the show all to yourself.
How come you're always out of town on Fridays, like when Brian brings food?
I don't like his shit.
Shady, right?
Wow,
Like,
what happened?
No, that's not true.
Did you not take the whole tray of chicken home?
I was
with
just
you?
about to say, I took it
Thank
home
you.
and I did my little Berkey method on it. You know, I threw it in
Covered
a
it in
pot.
ketchup?
No. Please, I wouldn't.
took
I
all the
wouldn't-
seasoning off.
I wouldn't insult
Yeah,
your.
you rinsed
You
it.
blended it.
Appreciate that.
Put it in the
blended it?
dishwasher. And
No, I put it in a pot.
Don't you put chicken in the blender?
No,
I've seen you do
Ew.
no, I shred chicken in a blender sometimes.
Ew.
Use a mixer
Listen,
sometimes.
everyone in this room has had my shredded chicken with eggs, and every goddamn one of you has enjoyed it.
I did.
Never had
Okay.
that shit in my life.
Every
I've
single
never
one of you
had
was just
that.
like, not
did
that
you have
bad.
my chicken?
Never had it in my life.
I took the remaining chicken, put it in a pot, added bone broth, added a cup of rice, and about a half a stick of butter. And my God,
I mean, the half a stick of butter saved you.
it reduced down to just this like chicken rice slop that was one of the best tasting things I've ever had in my entire life.
See, I feel like you could just say, you could have done anything. You could be like, I put this and I put that and I put eggshells in there. And then when you end it with, I put a half a stick of butter, then
Yeah.
it's all good.
No.
Yeah, 'cause butter
The
just
half
makes
a stick of butter
everything
is the real key to cooking.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day.
True.
What else are we doing but just building conduits for butter?
Butter.
Right? Am I right? You guys
No,
understand.
you're not right.
You have a disorder.
I love butter.
Okay. So you're on board with the disorder.
I can get with you on that one.
Right, okay.
Down with the sickness.
Down with the sickness.
All right, before the girls take over the show, which is inevitable, let's talk sports.
Yeah.
A little national championship game last night.
Nobody gave a shit about that.
Yeah.
Like,
No one cares.
the championship game was clearly Duke versus UNC.
That
Like,
was definitely the
everybody
biggest
watched that. Everybody tuned in. There was no hype around. the
Everybody
Kansas
cared
game.
at halftime when UNC was up by 15 and looked like they were going to upset a Kansas team
Yeah.
that seemingly was supposed to steamroll.
Do you think the ratings were higher for the Duke UNC or the championship game?
My instinct was going to say Duke UNC, but I think because it was Monday night and there was literally nothing else on, there's a good chance that the championship outperformed.
Sure.
Um,
that could be a good point. I just feel like I was super hyped watching UNC Duke, and there was no allure for me for the Kansas UNC.
Yeah, there's no narrative for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
felt
for
the
people who've
same
been
way.
following all year, I feel like this was a big match.
I'm sure it was, but for the casual viewer, I was hyped about the other game. The Final Four, we went to the bar, watched the game. It was exciting, and then last night I was like, put it on.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
but it was an awesome comeback.
I mean, congrats.
Biggest of all time.
It was
congrats to
it was the
Kansas.
biggest comeback in NCAA finals history. I don't know how close you were watching, but UNC suffered 4 injuries throughout, and one of them was like pretty outrageous. I think it was their guard rolled his ankle on a loose floorboard in the championship. So here's a slow-mo of it right here. Right there.
I
The
didn't know
floor
that was
just-
a loose floorboard. I mean, I saw that, but
The floor just like totally gives way. It's so sick.
and he twisted his ankle previously in the Duke game.
Yeah,
so that
right.
So that
So
same
obviously
ankle
makes
that
it worse.
yeah.
The conspiracy theories are out. Obviously, this is another hack job by Kansas. The big wigs that are the powers to be wanted the Midwest to take home another title. They can't have it going to Raleigh. Too much hardware already there.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that is how it works. No, I don't know. It was a pretty sick comeback. From everything I could tell, it just seems like the UNC team is a little bit younger. So I don't think it's like super shocking. But obviously injuries down the stretch obviously play a role. A lot of variance. Basketball's a kind of back and forth type of game anyway. So
It's a game of runs.
yeah, it's not like we don't see these sort of comebacks happening more often. Like you don't see this happen in baseball where a team gets up by 8 and they just blow it in the second half.
No.
Like nobody has an 8-run comeback in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning or anything along those lines. But different sports. And we'll talk baseball next week.
Pay the
We're getting
players.
close.
Next
Wait.
week. How about Thursday?
Well, it won't start by the time we go live, and I'm not here Friday.
1 o'clock, man.
Oh
Game starts at
man,
1
no
o'clock.
baseball. Darn. No.
Wait, what are
talking
you guys
about
gonna talk about
baseball.
anyway? The Yankees?
Yeah. I mean,
Obviously, it's the only real team to talk about.
I'm going to be useless on Thursday. I'm going to be staring at the screen while the game's playing.
I can't believe I had this whole April Fool's bit planned out in my head, and I completely forgot about it for last Friday. But I was just going to run with this idea that the Pirates had actually been sold to a AAA affiliate
of the Yankees.
and have been actually demoted out of the MLB down to the AAA level to give talent to the rest
that one
of
actually might get through because
Of course.
it's believable.
Of course. I mean, it's what they've been doing for a decade anyway, is just
Yeah,
supplying the rest of the league with talent.
Yep.
Who do the Yankees need this year? We got a first-round draft pick. We'll hook you up.
Come on.
I
What
mean,
do you
they'll,
guys
they'll
need?
eventually have O'Neal Cruz for sure.
I
Only
wish I
matter
knew
of
who that
time.
was.
He's like one of our best prospects.
Yeah,
He's
it's really hard to keep up. The turnover is.
I'm going to
fast.
keep you informed as the podcast grows and we go into the
I'm gonna
summer.
become a Pirate
I'm going
fan
to let
again?
you know. I'm going to give you like a daily or weekly update on how the Pirates are doing.
Please spare us both. Your poor dad, man. Your
Loves
poor
it.
fucking dad has been sitting at home watching every game of every season for the last 30 years
He loves
since
it.
the We Are Family era.
Oh man, well that was the glory days though.
Ricky has a thing about calling everybody poor today.
No, poor. That's not what it means in this reference. I understand English is your second language, but that's not how poor is being utilized here.
Then how are you using it?
It means I feel sorry for him. I have
Because he's
sympathy
poor.
for him, not because he lacks money.
Your poor dad.
Because he's being robbed of time.
Robbed and now he's poor.
Wow. Are you saying he got robbed because he's poor?
He's been watching the porn. He's been watching these.
No,
awful-
you said poor again.
well, the Pirates
are poor.
Well,
but
no.
they're
The
actually
owner's
super
not
rich.
yeah, the
they're
owner's fine.
frugal, is what they are.
Yeah.
He's been watching this bum of a fucking team for 50 years, waiting for them to reemerge the We Are Family days, and the closest they got was a 3-year stretch with Bonds. That was it.
Wait, what about the 3-year stretch with McCutcheon?
They didn't go to any championship games.
Oh, no, championship.
They made the
games,
fucking
but
playoffs. That's our
they won
bar now.
99 games in 2015. That's a lot.
Yeah, but like that's our bar, is that they won a fucking wild card game.
Yeah,
That's low, man.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
super low.
but we take what we can get when we're the Pirates.
Yeah, man, what a weird framework where you're from like one of the most storied franchises in the history of any sport, for all the sports, nonetheless. Like the Steelers are like one of the most storied football franchises. The Pirates competed in the first World Series ever. Like they just date back to the dawn of time. The Penguins have 4 or 5 cups under their belt, and now here we are, where one of those 3 teams is just the redheaded stepchild of the league. Nobody wants
Shame,
anything to
man.
do with it.
I'm gonna keep watching them.
Yeah, you're a glutton for punishment. I respect that.
Yeah.
Speaking of a glutton for punishment, let's talk high rollers. So yesterday's Titan 100K was finally settled, with the average stack being 20 blinds with 5 remaining. So there was a lot going on. It was a very weird turn of events. I caught a little bit of the coverage. There were 2 straight flushes, or was it straight flushes or royal flushes?
Quads. There's quads and straight
Quads.
flush.
So one guy made quads and a royal flush.
Were they both against? It was the same guy that made them, or it was against the same
I think
guy?
it was the same guy that made that.
Was it against the same guy? That purple shirt. By the
No.
way, that shirt was amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I really want it.
What was so special about it?
It was just beautiful, like the color and
Hmm.
the pattern, and like it was like silky,
Yeah.
amazing.
So I know Mike Watson made a royal, and then I believe it was Mulder who ultimately went on to win, or maybe it was Vogelsang. One of the guys from Netherlands made quads and a straight flush. I
yeah, yeah.
believe. I think it was Vogelsang. So yeah,
Props
I
to
don't think it
quad
happened versus the same
queens.
player, but The two young pros from the Netherlands that are friends finished 1 and 2. Mulder getting first, Volgesang getting second. 1.9 million, 1.4 million. Jake laddered his way up from 6th in chips with 6 left to actually finish 3rd. Although 6 in chips didn't really mean much. He was 3 blinds behind the chip leader. Watson ended up getting 4th. Daniel Devoris, who was chip leader with 5 left, got 5th. But again, there was only a couple big blinds separating him from the bottom. And then, as we mentioned yesterday, Soiza got 6th.
I mean, it's nice to see Mike Watson back in like high roller scene.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that he went to Cyprus and didn't come here for.
It's Canadian. I think it's probably just a Canadian tax issue.
Oh, that's true. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Also, I think from everything I can tell, this is just a bigger series. The 50K
well,
6
sure.
max got like 80 players, which is double what most of the 50Ks are getting here. Actually, it might even be closer to triple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bigger series. More pros are traveling there. They probably
All the
also
Macau guys are there.
Yeah, all the Macau guys are there. It's just probably higher EV.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One person in this room has had the pleasure to be a part of one of these Triton series. It wasn't me. It was a much younger Marle SPRAGG.
Yes.
Your first gig.
Yes, my first gig. Yeah. I bombed so hard, man. I was so bad at that job.
I thought you were fine. I think you were bad because you were.
I mean, Jason
you were
Kuhn
in
liked
it.
her a lot.
I just kind of got thrown into it, so I had to like find my footing, which I thought I did a pretty good job of, but yeah, it was rough at times.
I think like when you know that you're faking it until you make it,
Yeah.
you're very conscientious of the fact that like
Well, I was
everybody's
just-
gonna know.
Well, I just like had to step up because I was literally in this like fucking random country in the middle of nowhere on a cliff for 2 weeks, and so I just had to figure it out.
Where was it whenever you did it?
I did Montenegro and then I did London.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
They
right.
brought you back.
I did
It wasn't
too.
that bad.
It couldn't have been that bad. No.
You had a two
yeah.
city stop. But why do you think you bombed?
Well, just in the beginning, I didn't really know what kind of questions to ask. And so, like, I think the first interview I did was actually with Linus. And I was, like, trying to be funny. And, like, oh, you look 12. Like, do you have a girlfriend? Like, oh, like, could you even, like, be playing here? Like, I was just trying to be funny. It just, like, kind of wasn't that vibe.
This is literally
He's like,
like
what?
like this gig happened like 4 months after she puts a vlog out that says she sucks dick for steak.
Yeah.
It's like now all of a sudden you're in this professional setting and you're like wearing a ball gown and you're supposed to be interviewing like the top of the top.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, I tend to rely on humor in these situations. So
I think the hardest part of your job is always when people bust, right? And it's like you have to interview someone that just busted a super high roller. Like how did you deal with that?
It's so hard. Well, also like on breaks, they basically just the producer. I didn't have a producer. I just had the camera guy, and he just says, "Go get somebody and interview them." Right. And of course, it's like they have like 10 minutes and they're stressed and they don't want to talk to you, and so you have to like go to people and be like, "Hey," and sometimes they just flat out say no, or they just give you one word answers, or they
Right.
just, I mean, basically no one wants to talk to you. I mean, I don't say nobody. Some people were very nice. Like actually Bryn Kenny was very nice. A couple other people, I remember him specifically being like really nice, can be some good, he's a good interview because he'll like talk shit and he'll like get
he
into
loves
it.
it.
But it's just a really hard job.
It's a hard job.
It's a really hard job. I mean, you have to be like outgoing. I'm not outgoing really, which is like, you wouldn't think so, but I'm very introverted and just, but
I also think it's like hard when you're exposed to that world to begin with. Like I try to put myself in your shoes and be like, I can speak off the cuff. I think I'm well spoken enough to ask poignant questions and stuff like that. But I've been on the other side of the camera where it's like you're the one being interviewed in a situation where like you don't care to be, or you're annoyed because you just busted or whatever the case may be. It's like, what new revolutionary question are you possibly going to ask a person who's busted a tournament?
That's they don't want I was trying to be too creative with it. They don't really want that. I think from what my experience, like they kind of just want you to fill the time with just like, how's it going and how do you like Triton, and it's kind of that kind of stuff, which is a skill.
Sure,
but I'm not very good at.
I don't envy anybody who has to do it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You ever
But
just
Jeff
throw
Platt
them
is
a
awesome.
curveball and be like, you ever kiss a guy?
No, that would
That's
be
the play.
best.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, you just
that-
ask a bunch of normal, like, so how was it? Like, what was your bust out hand? Tell us. Have you ever kissed a guy?
Just flip it in the same sentence.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah. Oh man,
Throw them
that
the
would not
curveballs. They'll
go.
keep, wake them up.
Are we gonna open that can of worms today? The kissing guy topic.
That's a great segue. Let's see. So our next topic.
Have you ever kissed a guy?
That's wild. That's wild.
I'll start off. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you go.
Bravely.
So brave.
Yes.
No.
So brave. I think collectively we came to the conclusion no one in this room other than the two girls have kissed a guy. But
that's true.
statistically,
Allegedly.
no.
I saw 20% like overall, like men have kissed other men, but then the number
We're talking about
skyrockets.
straight. We're talking
in
about
the
straight
UK.
men, right? This
Yeah,
is surveyed
yeah,
of
but the
straight
number
men.
skyrockets in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know
Culturally-
what's
Cultural.
Well, they're a little bit less homophobic over there.
I'm gonna ask those British kids at the Bellagio.
Do you think it's homophobia that prevents it though? Like,
Yes.
why? Why do you think that? Like, I've
Because
never
every
had,
guy is afraid of being perceived as gay.
but I've never had an urge to kiss a guy. I've also never had an urge to like kiss a friend that's a girl on the lips.
I've never had an urge, but we all did it when we were younger
Yeah.
Why?
to practice.
Yeah. Well, you just like in high school, I kissed a few girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right in the sense that it's
Like girls start
normalized.
doing it at like sleepovers when they're young
Yeah.
Oh.
to like practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Tonguing girls down and
Yes,
sleep
to
over?
practice. That's how we.
What?
That's how why girls
my
are.
God.
That's why girls are better kissers than boys because we've been practicing for a
These
long time.
sleepovers are everything that we always dreamt them to be.
It was like right after the pillow fight.
Yeah, but it wasn't sexual. It was very like technical.
It was like a breakdown, like
No,
Yeah, like
left.
don't do this. Like okay, no, that was like pretty good,
Little
but like do
softer.
yeah. it
Wait,
was,
no
like, very
joke.
Technical.
There's a lot of validity to what you're talking about. The way that I learned to kiss was I studied lesbian porn. I literally would just like watch hours and hours.
I just
Yeah.
imagine him like practicing on his hand.
I would like watch. I didn't practice, but you would just try to mimic the mechanics, right? I would just watch hours of girls kissing
Girls are good
Did you
at
think-
because
kissing.
they're obviously
I was gonna say,
good
but he
kissers.
didn't watch
Because we've been
lesbian porn
practicing
to
since we
learn how
were
to
8.
Yo,
You can't watch
there
hours
is
of watching.
homophobia, like it literally all the way down to your childhood. Like
Yes.
I didn't watch straight porn. I didn't want to see no dick.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
penis away.
No, you guys are. Of course, I watch regular porn too. You guys are taking it way out of context. It's the fact that I knew women were better kissers, so I would watch
Yes.
girls kiss girls
Yeah.
because they're very sensual.
Yes, they are very sensual, and I think better kissers overall.
Yeah, like any guy who's kissing a girl in a porn, it's just like grabbing her by
It's
the back of the head and like,
gross. Like, they're
spitting
just,
in her
like-
mouth.
They just like no. There's
the
no.
hell?
Kind of porn
No, first of all, wait,
Okay,
hold
well,
on.
we know
That's not on your curated feed.
No,
nuts,
no,
dude.
I have like sensual massage.
Yeah.
You know, turns inappropriate.
Oh, sure.
Not
Sure.
guys ripping a girl's head off her body, spitting on her corpse.
Spit it on her. Spit on her. Like, whoa, Jesus.
I'm gonna kill her.
There's a really funny story that correlates to this somewhat. When LeMan and I were like 10 years old, we
Sorry,
found a
man.
VHS in my grandparents' house. To this day, I don't know if it was my granddad's or
It's
not.
called Sex Busters.
It was called Sex Busters. It was
it
a
a
play on
Ghostbusters
Ghostbusters.
like spoof?
like a Ghostbuster.
It was a spoof of Ghostbusters.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah. So they would like show up with their like, ready to go kit.
Like back when like porn was like super corny.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
80s.
Like
Yeah.
So 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched it for the plot line, obviously.
They weren't
Right.
spitting
So
in
did
their
you guys like
They
jerk
were
off in the same room?
No, we didn't jerk off at all.
You just
We were
watched it.
10. We just watched it.
Yeah.
We just wanted to see some boobs.
Weird.
And what do guys do? Like they just like sit there in silence, or
No, I heard. Okay,
This is
I've
super
heard from
common.
2 different guy friend groups that like when guys are growing up, like they'll like watch porn and then like put like
a pillow on their
yeah,
lap?
like they'll put like a pillow on their lap and like jerk off, like
No.
but like they don't acknowledge
That
that each
did
other
not
is doing
happen.
it.
No, that did not happen.
But like groups of guys, like
No,
I've heard
absolutely
from
not.
2 different friend groups that they did this, and they
Your
were
friend
younger.
groups are a little bit strange.
Fucked up.
That's not how that's not what we did growing up.
Didn't the Beatles do this?
They had an orgy. These kids had an
They're not
orgy.
looking at each other.
But
They had a
they
pillow
like,
But why are you
orgy.
watching porn if you're not gonna?
no, but it was like
do
a mission.
stuff?
Like the Beatles, that like would do.
Sorry,
circle
my
jerks,
family
essentially.
watches this, and I know
can't
this
confirm
episode's
or
gonna
deny
make them
that.
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Well, they were high out of their mind too. That
This is-
helps.
Are we getting demonetized?
No,
We have to be.
This is
We have to be.
natural.
The traffic just doubled. Oh, what are you talking about? Yes.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Yo, somebody, yo, we need to
Look
buy
at
that. Yo, we need to buy that.
Look at that hair. Oh my god, I
It's
just
in
got
like
hard.
240p.
Oh my god.
You want a pillow?
I watched one that
The
used to
nostalgia
be-
is running through my body.
It was like on
That's not what's running through your
Skinamax or HBO or something, and it was called Star Whores.
Interesting.
Star Whores.
Yeah, my grandparents somehow finagled free Cinemax, aka Skinamax.
Yes.
And
That was the shit.
yeah, my teenage years were spent. I wish I could remember the actress's name. She was in all the softcore porn,
Wow.
like all of it. Man, something Tweed, Shannon Tweed, maybe. I don't know. Something
I've heard
Tweed
that name.
for sure. But she was like in everything, and like just Friday nights were just spent staring at the screen. But honestly, like thinking back to that time frame, it wasn't so mechanical as. Also, we weren't as exposed. The internet wasn't a thing until I was 16. So like previous to that, like you're trying to watch Scrambled Spice Channel or steal a Playboy or something like that.
See a movie that has a sex scene in it.
Yeah. So like you're really soaking it all in. Like I remember consuming a lot of sex scenes without doing anything but watching.
Right.
Where it was just like
You were
you're-
studying?
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
kind of like, trying to get to the bottom of it. Like, how does all this work?
Right.
I mean, up until I was like 8, I thought guys peed in girls to get them pregnant because that was the only thing that came out of there.
Wow. I mean,
seemed
that's
logical.
it is logical. No,
Yeah.
it is. It is.
It did seem logical, but
Yeah.
then,
You were close. You were got close.
I was right. Something came out.
Yeah. I thought
Yes. Shannon Tweed. Wow. I'm so good.
that. Wow.
What a memory.
So this is the
She was
woman
hot back
that
then.
gave you.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, she's 60 now. But
You look great
You have to see the
though.
post
She gave
picture I
Berkey
posted.
blue balls for years.
Yeah. God bless. What
Yeah.
a woman.
You think she lives in Vegas now? All those porn stars
We
live
get
in
her
Vegas.
on?
She's dead.
Damn. bro.
Dead?
Jesus.
This was like
Christ.
30 years ago.
R.I.P. Shannon
God
Tweed.
damn.
She's dead.
This was 30 years
Let's get a
ago.
Wikipedia.
She
up
could just
there.
be
I'm
old.
looking.
Are you sure she's dead?
No, I'm not sure she's dead. I said she's probably dead. She
You
was
think
like,
she's still doing porn?
Okay,
like
let's
granny
get her
shit?
on. Let's get Shannon Tweed on. If
1957.
anyone knows Shannon
She's only
Tweed.
57?
She was born in 1957.
yeah, she might be dead.
That's
Oh,
not
you're not dead.
that old.
Are you kidding me?
She's
That's
like in her
a
sin.
60s.
Let's investigate.
That's not
She's
that old.
65 years old.
She's like
That's old.
She's like in her late 50s.
I need to know if she's still doing that porn.
Brooke, that's only 25 years away. You think you're only going to live for 25 more years?
God willing.
Yeah, right.
We could
He's
get a-
taking
we could get a
the
psychic in
age
here.
With this
serum.
fucking eating disorder I have, my days are counted.
All right, here we go. Is she still?
You might not
what's she
have
doing
long
right
with
now?
the eating disorder.
Let's get her personal life and everything.
Look, she's not dead.
I didn't
Is
say
she
she was
single,
definitely
though?
dead. I said she might be
But
dead.
is she still doing
I can't believe you would
scenes?
wish death upon this woman.
I
Yeah,
only
that's
wish
crazy.
death upon myself. Relax.
Oh, there's all pornos or there's
Wow, look
Damn,
at that.
I told you she was in everything.
Berkey
I watched them all.
All of that
I
shit.
watched every single one of them for sure.
Amazing.
And then you still want to wish her death? That's crazy, bro.
yeah, how could you
Real
do
Sex
that?
was like the worst show.
was on
that
Frasier.
All right, if we get a psychic in here.
I'm out on the site.
No. Like, and
No, he's
tell us-
out because they're gonna come in
They
and
can
say
tell
he's
us which
he's gay.
when we die.
I don't care.
You don't want to know when you die?
I don't believe
No,
them. It
I
doesn't
don't wanna
mean
know.
I don't want to
anything
know
me.
either. Because what if
How
it's
would you
like
wanna
tomorrow?
know?
I would be like
That's
so
awful.
scared.
What if? Okay.
Yeah.
What if
No,
we got a
that would be
psychic?
great
Wait,
if they
time out.
told you that if you
I would
brought
be
in a psychic
scared.
and they were like, you're going to die
No,
tomorrow.
because you know
that
what
would
happens?
be great.
What
Because
if
tomorrow
they just
you
told
would be
the person-
alive and you'd be like, this is all bullshit.
Or
What
you
if
got
they just
24
told the
hours to live
person
and
next
pick how
to
you do
you
it.
when you die?
Yeah.
Like, so like they would tell
No,
Marley when you die.
No, because if I was gonna die tomorrow and they told me that, then I would go and like do a bunch of drugs, and then
I wouldn't
they would
believe
be
it.
like, just kidding, like
That's
you're
your
not.
go-to?
Yeah.
And then I would be like,
I
fuck,
would too.
now I have to,
course you would.
now I have to go back and get sober
just-
again.
Do crazy shit.
You're like, yeah, I would just take a bunch of Molly and
Yeah.
throw up on people, whatever.
Go to a brothel.
Fuck, I was gonna say something relating to drugs, death, and psychics.
Yeah.
Here's
Favorite
my happy
topics.
medium. This is my compromise. I don't want anything to do with psychics. I don't want anything to do with horoscopes. But we can take a team road trip to Sedona, and we could do a podcast from the Vortex.
Oh, okay.
I'm fucking in for
With a
that.
psychic there?
There's everything. Sedona's literally
I know.
one
That's why I
giant
love
bowl.
it. I literally love Sedona. One, it's magical. Like seriously.
The town itself is
Magic
a bowl of
happens
crazy.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
Because everyone is like picking up on the
Yeah,
vibrations.
yeah. The vibrations
and
are powerful there.
I actually got my aura read there.
Of course you
can
did.
do photography of your aura.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all red.
I knew you were gonna say red. God, I'm psychic.
You know, you
Jesus.
can see my
I was
aura.
positive you were gonna say
You're
red.
a
I don't even
Pisces
know what it
moon,
means.
so it doesn't surprise me that you're a little psychic.
You're a
Right.
Pisces moon?
You
I don't know.
I know,
She
he's
keeps
so
saying that. She's
soft.
making it up.
That's
I'm not-
crazy, bro.
Moon
no,
is like your
no, wait.
emotions.
A Pisces moon is
He
like
is
a very
Pisces
special
moon.
person.
Yeah, you're very intuitive,
Yeah.
soft, you know. But
Let's not let
like,
the cat out of the bag, okay?
Internally.
Let's
Okay,
relax.
okay.
a
What
little
if
bit.
Berkey just changed his picture on Google and it's really just him? He's just the Matthew. He's the Matthew that's
He's
behind
the-
it. all.
Wait, do you have a secret astrology business?
Yeah,
that
that's
what's
actually
going
how I got
on?
rich.
Wow.
That's actually how I got rich. Just conning people into believing that I can read their future.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's way better than me conning them and believing they can get better at poker.
That poor man.
I know. Poor Matthew. I hope he's
Poor
not
Matthew.
a viewer. He just
Matthew.
gets roasted all the time.
This poor son of a bitch, when he gets in here, he's gonna wish he never was born. You might want to have Marle on for that show.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have to leave like halfway through. Someone's
Astrology?
gonna. Yeah, she wants to have an astrologer come
Yeah.
in.
Read his chart to him.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm very unsure about it.
Don't feel peer pressure.
That's
Marle.
okay, you
Be
can
the
tell us the
logical
truth.
human I know you are.
Sometimes I get into it.
Never feel bad about being a rational human being.
Sometimes I get into it. I'm into like the proper like Jodish stuff. I know I'm not into it, but I know people who did it, and that's when I kind of like, okay, maybe this is real. But
So you think it could be real?
I think there could be something to it. I
Yeah.
believe in like energies.
There you go, Burke.
I feel like it's just a way of describing
Hold
energies.
on. Hold on.
Oh.
When people say I believe in energies,
It's neither created or destroyed.
stop. I need that to be quantified.
Is it kinetic or potential?
Because
Okay,
nobody,
go read a quantum physics book.
nobody is trying to dispel that energy is a fucking thing.
Yeah.
But
Like
Berkey,
emotional
do you know what
Like
happens when people die?
vibration.
Nothing. You don't know.
Yeah, like
Everything is vibrations.
Yes.
I know that sounds whatever, but it's true.
Well, sound is vibration. Yeah.
It sounds silly, but
scientifically, nobody's dispelling that. What the fuck does that have to do
Think back when you
with
were watching the
auras
lesbian.
and fucking horoscopes?
those are
and-
two different things. First of all, so
Okay,
which
but,
one
like,
do you want to
when,
tackle?
when we say we believe in energies,
Yeah.
what are we saying? That the world transacts through energy? It's like,
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, fine. But what the fuck does that have to do with?
because being birthed and coming into the earth at a certain time and when your parents had sex and the whole thing
Yeah.
is an energy that has brought you, which is your energy here at a certain time, which coincides with other people's energies who were born at the same time.
I mean this with as much love as I can
That's the
muster.
difference.
I mean this with as much love as I can muster. I hate you so much.
There's something to
yeah, but
it.
honestly, like it's so funny because you are like a classic Aquarius.
stand you.
You're such an Aquarius.
You are such a
Wait, but I agree
It's like-
exactly with what he's saying,
Yeah.
and I'm not an Aquarius.
Right.
What are you?
A Leo.
A Pisces moon,
That
obviously.
makes sense.
No, but it does make sense that you're a Leo.
Oh yeah,
it does,
Leo
yeah,
too
no, it
makes
does.
sense.
No, it does make
It
sense.
does.
Actually,
Oh,
it does. What do you want me to say?
explain.
He doesn't fucking know.
No, of course he
Of
doesn't
course I know. I just can't. I'm not gonna be like attacked by
I know
both
these
sides
two.
here.
These two.
Like-
Do what they don't teach you astrology
Oh,
in
man.
Pittsburgh.
So what happens when someone
Or
that
New York.
that it
Or New
shouldn't
York?
make sense for and is that
No, Brian.
person?
Well,
Everything makes
Yeah.
sense.
What happens when there's contradictions? Because I bet we
because
could go down the street
everyone
and find
has
1,000 of
multiple
them.
signs
Yes.
in their chart. Each
There's an
planet is
answer
in
for
a
everything. Yeah.
each planet is in a different sign when you're born. So
You
like,
guys just need to keep an open mind. Like this is crazy.
I
There's,
mean,
like,
you haven't
infinite
even
situations
looked,
that happen in
you
poker.
haven't
I
even
haven't
looked
been sold
into
on
it
it
at all.
personally. I'm just saying I'm open to
It's
it.
possible.
Exactly. That's why I respect.
Shane
it.
got his dick sucked one time for believing in fucking astrology, and all of a sudden he's a lifelonger where he's just like, my vibration is so high right now, like I'm glowing I'm radiating with energy over here, and you guys just don't get it.
That's true.
What
He's right. He would be right.
you want me to do?
Like that's it.
You're the poor guy that didn't.
I've had enough of this. I can't take it. Marle, you've made some new content lately.
Yes,
Why
not
don't you
about,
tell us
not about
about it?
astrology, but I think astrology video would be actually pretty
That would
cool.
be funny.
That might be the next skit. 1-3 player believes in astrology.
No, it's not, that's
That's
You
not
have to
funny.
play high stakes to believe in astrology, bro.
Yeah,
There's
you think
there's a bell curve. Yeah.
Yeah, like what you talking about? Why,
it's like that.
Why
Yeah,
trying to
it's like
belittle
that bell
people?
curve meme where it's like astrology isn't real, and then you're the 100 IQ guy who's like malding, and then there's like the other guy who's
And then
like,
there's like the higher beams.
yeah, who's like it's probably real.
Yeah.
You're that middle bell. You're literally that
Please,
middle bell curve
please be my
100 malding
guru.
guy.
There's something there with like reading people, like trying to guess their sign based on how they play poker.
Yeah,
Could be,
there
you,
could
you
be.
could do something like
There could be.
You-
Could be something
If
funny
you
there.
need any consultation on astrology bits, I'm here. I will dig
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
sure.
ends of the earth for all the
sure.
comedic gold in that.
Yeah.
I'll help you right. I'll do anything because I think this is the most laughable concept that's caught on in the last 10 to 15 years.
I can't
Maybe
wait
not
to
even
10 to
that long.
15 years.
They're
Maybe
gonna
like
marry
5
longer
someone
than
and
that.
they're gonna be like literally.
He literally,
just
it's,
that.
it's inevitable. Everybody he dates is like some kooky
Why
astrology
do you
lady.
think I'm single?
Because you're not open minded.
I don't know, but something attracts you to them.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
It's because I get duped eeasily. Okay, I have a savior complex, and I see them. I'm like, I'm gonna make them understand
You
the
get
stars don't
duped
mean anything.
easily.
I hate you so much. Oh God.
These mean astrology girls keep duping me.
The problem is the craziest ones are the hottest ones. Okay,
The hot crazy matrix.
Yeah, the hot crazy scale.
You know what it is
a
for
thing.
guys though? It's the hot dumb matrix.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
I imagine if you're born with, especially as a guy, if you're just like pretty,
Yes.
all of the favors
Brain
that
dead.
get thrown your way, you don't
Yeah.
become studious.
No.
You don't learn a trade.
Dumb as rocks.
Yeah, you just pick up
Up
heavy
here,
things
they're
and-
like drooling when they talk to you. Like, what's that? Can you tie my shoe? But they're so hot, so it's like you have to
I
compromise.
mean, but then your
somewhere.
maternal instinct kicks in, and it's like, what more could you ask
No,
for?
not me.
You have an adult baby.
Not me.
Oh, so we're back on what I said. You're not fit to raise a child.
Here we go again. The fact that you literally don't want her to have kids is crazy.
It's so weird, isn't it? What's your MO?
I don't want them to be brainwashed by this astrology bullshit.
Right. It's the astrology.
Is bringing Matthew the astrologist in here so that you can actually find your soulmate?
We need to actually
Is it
just,
him?
We need to actually just bring him. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna be like, oh, we need to do a run of show,
No,
blah
he's
blah
gonna-
blah, and then just
he's gonna have an
one
eye-opening
day, someone's just gonna
experience.
walk up the stairs and just
Honestly,
And his energy is going to be so powerful, you're going to be like, whoa. You're going to like fly out the window.
honestly, if I didn't have to do Radashova that day, I would accept it.
No, you have to still do it. We're just gonna surprise you.
I would be like,
yeah, Burke, that's a great
I'd be totally
topic.
fine if I walked in here one day and I was like, all right, what's Radashova today? And they're like, don't worry about it, we got it.
Or maybe like a medium.
Yeah, a medium.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Who would you want to talk to?
Nobody.
There it is.
That's it. Yeah.
There we
That's literally Berkey in the middle.
Looks like him.
Fine. Fine. Ignorance is bliss. Sign me up. I'm happy to be in the middle of that curve.
Triton was great. Yeah,
Triton was great.
Triton was great.
I have been enjoying your new
you.
content.
Thank
It's been
you.
great. Tell me, sorry. Tell me what direction this is going. Like, what's the end game?
Well, the like super end game is I want to shoot a pilot of some like more structured show and maybe get some like real funding for it and just put it on YouTube, like a short series about poker, about my life. But, well, not necessarily my life. I think it's me about my life. But I guess that, although I just kind of want to make shit and that I enjoy.
I can see
I
you
don't know.
doing like the Marley SPRAGG sitcom,
Can we
kind of
pull-
like the Whitney Cummings show.
I know. I was thinking that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Benj isn't really an actor though. He's made a couple appearances in my videos begrudgingly, but he doesn't really.
Can we?
That's
pull-
okay. He could
He's
just
not
be.
really-
He could be an inspired role.
Even when he plays
Yeah.
himself, he's just like, "Hello," and I'm just like, and
Let's have Matt Damon fill it. Or that guy from Breaking Bad.
yeah, Jesse Plemons
Yeah.
is his doppelganger.
Like, let's pull up one of her stuff because there's probably people in the audience that don't know like what we're talking about right
Yeah,
now.
Andre will get on it.
Anyways, yeah. just
Whether
having
he's an
fun.
actor or not, I actually think like his type of humor is so dry and hilarious.
Yeah.
Like even if it doesn't
very
translate
funny.
into a scripted thing, like there's definitely
Yeah.
gold there on, or like there's meat on that bone, I would say.
Well, yeah, he's the funniest person I know, and he he just when he's like on, even when I still vlog and stuff, I'd be like, oh, trying to film him. As soon as I put a camera on him, he's just like shuts down.
That's so funny because he's hilarious on his stream.
Well,
Yeah.
it's true because he's kind of chilling.
Yeah.
Right.
But when he's on,
Yeah,
he
like
gets a little
performing.
clammy.
Like he's sitting at his computer, like
see,
playing
I'm the
poker,
opposite.
so-
Like when I'm performing, I can just let loose and go crazy.
Right.
But when I stream, I kind of feel a little bit weird.
Yeah.
He's British. He's British, right?
He's
Yeah.
British, yeah. But now he reads I sent him everything I post before I post it and be like, is this
On
is this
Twitter?
funny? Everything I post, I send to him first. I'm like, is this cringe?
Oh man, you've needed this forever.
What?
Like a buffer before you tweet.
He's a great buffer, yeah. Sometimes he doesn't catch everything in the net, and I have a few things that slip by that.
Like when you're drunk and just press send before sending it to him.
Yeah.
Like what group am I going to pick a fight with today?
Yeah.
Bonomo, what are you up to, buddy?
Sometimes he vetoes things. I made this video about busting the main, and the line originally was when I'm walking across the bridge, like, I'm going to kill myself, which is like the original line. And he was like,
Yeah.
you don't say I'm gonna, like, so maybe make it a little softer.
Yeah.
I feel like
Maybe
I feel like
imply it. You know?
I feel like that's the difference between like dark American humor and British humor.
Right.
Like they're so dry and sarcastic
Yeah.
and bordering on mean, but they never take it too far.
Yeah.
Where like for us,
Yeah.
we're not that funny, but like we just take it to the depths
just
of the
mean.
earth. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
We're
how
just
far can we
mean
possibly push
and
this envelope?
obscene, and they're like,
Yeah.
you know, they have like some class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like show a little tact.
But yeah, I think it's also the accent because they just sound so
100%.
They sound, I don't know, he can say the meanest thing, like objectively mean, and it's just like sweet.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
No,
Whereas
it's
if I
true.
said it, I don't know.
No, it definitely is true. Like I've noticed that when people like have accents and they're talking, like they can literally just say whatever, and I'm like, yeah. you're
That's
right.
because if someone has an Australian accent, you stop listening and start
or
melting.
British or Irish.
Irish.
I don't like accents, actually. It's a
Really?
with an accent person.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'll probably end up with someone without an accent.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Andre? Which one are we watching?
Oh,
Oh, speaking of accents.
Welcome to Poker Etiquette, Lesson
Great.
1. Poker is more than just strategy. You must learn how to behave at the poker table. It is a civilized game for civilized people. Today's lesson is about seat changing. If a player gets moved to your table and he is of lesser quality, if you know what I mean, it may be tempting to seat change to get position on the gentleman. Don't. That is dreadfully rude and very poor form. If you do decide to move to his left, it will not be taken kindly by the other patrons, and you may find that you've overstayed your welcome. This has been Poker Etiquette. Stay tuned for more. Oh, hello.
That's great.
like
Your accent is spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well,
that
someone
is like-
commented that it was bad, and
What?
yeah.
No, I think it was spot on.
There's a few times like I go a little Australian, but
Yeah.
Do you, when you're in England, do you ever spend time just like trying to fit in and just roll with the accent for like days?
no. But since I'm here, people also sometimes I think I say certain words now.
from just like being around.
Just being around it so much. The other day I was in the Starbucks drive-through and she's like, "Where are you from? Is that British?" And I was like, "No, I'm like Boston." Ugh. But yeah, it's okay. I tried. Well, I can't do a normal English. That's like my obviously the Queen.
Yeah, right.
That's not how
Posh.
like people speak here
we
where
have
we live.
so many UK
There's
accents.
so many. Yeah, I can't do like a normal one. If I was just to, I have to do Mary Poppins or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of American accents too.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know,
yeah,
but I
we-
almost feel
we've
like
gone through this before.
yeah, I feel like but if you're comparing like size to number of accents, like the UK
Oh, yeah,
has
UK is
just
very
so
small.
many.
Yeah. Although maybe not because it's so regional here that it's like just little plucked out areas that speak like
Yeah,
slightly
so
different
there's just,
dialects.
like more
Like a little bit of the
variation.
Northeast and then like a little in the Midwest, a little of the South, and then California has their own thing. I guess staying on the topic of content creation, we've kind of all watched this unfold in the public sphere from day one. Your vlogs were insanely popular. You kind of reached a point where that wasn't of interest any longer. Now
Yeah.
you've transitioned into these like little skits, which I actually think are hilarious, but I imagine are probably more taxing to create just because it's not as off the cuff. Like they have to be kind of scripted, filmed a specific way. Maybe not like that last one, but like more so I'm thinking about, I thought one of the funniest ones was when you were mimicking telling a significant other a hand history.
Oh, the poker
yeah, that one was
relationship?
funny.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Thank you.
But I imagine that's like very taxing to write and to film. Maybe not to write because it was so real. It's just like this is just pulled out from like a last Thursday type of thing.
No, yeah. Well, I think the hardest part is when you just vlog. It's kind of is more of a template, so you just kind of copy and paste.
Yeah.
Hands. I'm walking in. Da da da. Whereas with this stuff, like it's like random new things that are kind of a gamble. So you have to just like try shit and but I'm getting it's a muscle like anything else. I'm getting better at just.
So do you think the process has gotten more difficult or easier as you've kind of evolved?
Oh, it's way easier because it's like a formula, it's a muscle. But I still sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes when you're like making shit because you're so close to it, and you're like, I get to a point where I'm like, is this even making sense anymore? Am I even, you know what I mean? And so I have to show it to other people and be like, is this making sense to you? But yeah, I guess it's still hard, but I'm enjoying it.
So I guess now compared to then, like what types of feelings do you have around the content? So whenever you were very first starting, it's kind of like those I have nothing to lose type of thing, but you had immediate fanfare and a lot of like a pretty big audience right away out of the gate. What type of feelings and emotions were wrapped around that compared to now where you're a few years in, you're pretty established, you're attempting to kind of like make curated content where you could eventually get to something a little bit more polished and potentially have a series or whatever the case may be?
What's the question?
like what's the difference in emotions around those processes?
Oh, well, this is like more of a passion project. This is just me doing what I want to do. Where I think before I was coming from more of a place of like, what do people want? What are people doing? How can I mimic?
Yeah.
How can I see what is working and try to fit in? And now it's more like, okay, like if I could say anything, what would I really want to say? It's not looking so much outward, it's looking inward, as corny as that sounds.
Yeah.
But it's like way more rewarding.
Yeah,
but
like
it's
the
just way
inward
more
energy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. It seems like it would be more fulfilling to do like your creative stuff.
Totally. But I also feel like I had to go through. I think it's important for like a lot of people to go through that, to make hand history videos and the traditional vlog or a day in the life or whatever, because you have to do it and then you kind of find where you fit. But it is scary because a lot of times like there's no like formula for this. There's no one I can like really look to necessarily and be like, okay, I could copy these things and they'll work.
That's good though. Like being one of one is valuable.
Yeah, but it comes with a lot more like anxiety and like fear of, because you're just like, sometimes I'm just like, is this like so cringe or is this funny? Like it's, the line is very thin sometimes.
Right.
So wait, along those lines then, do you think that you're more anxious now or in the beginning?
It's just different. I mean, I would say now, but it's only because I'm more aware. Before I was just kind of like blackout and I would just like push it down and just like ignore it. And now I'm just so hyper aware of everything. I guess I have more to lose now too, because I have a little bit of an audience. Before, just like no one knew me.
See, it's funny.
I don't know.
From my perspective, I would kind of think the opposite. Like when we first started creating content, it was a lot of those same feelings where it's like, where's the hole in the space? How can we fill it? But then more specifically, how can we ensure that we're giving the audience what they want type of stuff? And with that came a lot of, it's difficult to separate the signal from the noise, right? Because the loudest voices tend to be the vocal minority. And they're often going to be the negative comments that are overly amplified. So like there becomes this sense of invalidation and you start to develop a bit of imposter syndrome around this type of stuff. Like, should I even be doing this? Is there a place in the space for me? That type. But once you curate an audience and once you kind of get that positive momentum rolling, at least from my vantage point anyway, you get to a point where you're not too big to fail, but you stop giving a shit about pleasing everybody, I think. And you just get to a kind of a vantage point where it's like, I'm not going to let the audience dictate to me what they want because they collectively don't know better, right? It's I'm going to give them something that I think is new, fresh, and fulfills a need in the space, and then pay attention to the feedback as close as I possibly can.
Wait, that's scary because because inevitably you're gonna make some shit that they're like, boo.
Yeah.
And it could happen, like, even if you're quote unquote already got a following, you know, you put out 10 videos that just miss, and you'd be surprised at how quick that they turn on you, or they leave, or they, you know. So I think that there's like anytime you were taking more risks with it, it's just gonna create more anxiety. But I think but the more times you do it and then it works out, you do have that like
Yeah. Does that like prevent you from like taking the next step forward if you get that negative feedback? Like, does it become crippling?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't envy that. That's so brutal. I mean, I've done like a little bit of creative stuff, but never for a big curated audience, and never so risky that I thought it would fail. Like, the riskiest thing I probably did was like blog about my mom's death or my grandma's death, but that's such an emotional topic. You're never going to get negative.
Yeah, you're
criticism.
almost protected from like anyone who says something assholey is like just making themselves look terrible.
Yeah. It's like a free roll where it's like, okay, I get to expose this thing that I'm very insecure about having grown up a part of, but I'm sheltered by the fact that like it was done onto me rather than like
you're
by
clearly
myself.
the victim in that situation, right?
Yeah.
But I think, well, a lot of times I think with comedy, like, you can go one or two ways. You can either go self-deprecating or you can go arrogant. And make it like that, and I think that's a whole lot harder to do and pull off.
Right.
And I think it's like a lot more challenging. That's why I do both. But and that's the thing is sometimes when you go that route and you make the person like even more exaggerated, arrogant, full of themselves, that's when people can. It's like a mixed bag because if you do it wrong, people are like, oh, you're really like that, or you're
right.
It's like a lot more polarizing.
Yeah, it's just. But you know, again, I think that's. It's a challenge, so it's good. But
what are your thoughts on like the creative space as a whole in poker? Like, and then I guess second question would be, are your goals to kind of stay within that framework, or are you looking to kind of scale outside of this community?
I mean, yeah, I think everybody wants to eventually out a little bit.
A higher ceiling outside of poker.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's definitely my comfort zone. I keep getting pulled back into it because I don't know. I just feel safe.
Yeah.
But eventually you have to branch out because I was making stuff before that's actually like super niche. But obviously like you have to, there's so many layers of like inside jokes there. Like my favorite video I actually made was I made this video called CSI Vegas about poker players and the vaccine
I saw
stuff.
It was good.
Me and Spraggy were pissing ourselves laughing at that for like a month when I was working on it. Like but it's just so you have to. It's like 8 layers of shit that you have to know to understand it. So I just try not to make stuff like that anymore. But that's the shit I like the most.
Yeah. It's making fun of the poker community.
Yeah, like I don't know. But
what does that look like though? Like the content space in poker seems to be pretty curated at this point. It's literally just vloggers and then a tiny bit of like media coverage / live streams.
Right.
So obviously like there's a niche there for you to fill that isn't being filled otherwise with like produced content. But like how does that scale? You know what I mean? Like what industries do you think, or what other communities do you think that you could potentially find humor in? Is this like a sketch comedy path moving forward? Are you looking to do something?
I don't think I move into another niche industry. I think you just move more general.
Yeah.
I think you just move more general comedy, general sketches, general life. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're starting a podcast is what you're saying.
I've thought about it. I don't know. I thought about doing one on like Patreon or something. I saw Ryan DePaulo's doing one like that too.
Oh yeah, I did see. I don't know what it is though.
Do I gotta get on this Patreon thing?
Yeah, I gotta ask.
Is this like a
going.
PG OnlyFans or what?
Because then you can just go ham on.
I mean, Patreon is basically just like you doing what you've always been doing, but sticking it behind a paywall and basically handing out a collection bucket.
I guess.
It doesn't even have to be behind a paywall. Like you can just say, like you just create Patreon and then it's
right, like we could just add a Patreon.
Tiers,
right.
right?
Just like, hey, do you like what I'm doing? YouTube's paying me shit, so would you give me like $2
it's an
a
optional
month?
donation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's like the collection plate at church.
kind of.
You know, you don't
It's good
have
for
to put money in,
taxes,
but we're
right?
judging.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just in the Patreon videos, I'll actually say I'm going to kill myself. I won't have SPRAGG.
This is without the buffer.
Yeah, like.
I think it's very important to understand that people who are comedic in nature that often say I'm going to kill myself, it's an empty threat.
Yeah.
I say it all the
Of
time. I don't
course.
mean it.
Me and
People
my
who are going to kill
times a
themselves
day.
don't tell you.
No, it's true.
course,
Like
of
me and
course.
Nicole, we
That's hilarious.
talk about how like if we're saying that means we're in a good place. But if we're not saying it, then we just need to check on each other.
Right.
Like it's like
Yes.
if I'm saying like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself, like that means that I'm feeling good. But
Yeah.
if
How
I
much
start
money is in
if I
Patreon?
start going like I'm gonna kill myself, but not actually, that means like oh something's going on. Something's going on.
KMS is like the best acronym that I've come across in like the last few years, just because adding it to like a mildly funny sentence just amplifies it so much, and you just always get the extreme like Jesus kind of reaction, which is what you're going for, I think, in
Yeah.
most instances.
Yeah, it's just such
Or,
a
like,
lovely
same.
thing. Like the C word is very I can say it, but in England, obviously they say it. It's like used as a term of endearment, but it's just a beautiful
Those
word.
Brits
I
call
love
me,
that word,
They
yeah.
literally call
So
me that all the
beautiful.
time.
And also
I
the
should
R
just say
word.
it.
The R word is just so beautiful.
It is.
It's just the cherry on top of. It's just such a funny word.
Yes.
What's the R word?
Objectively, you know.
I don't know the R word either.
I don't know what the
You
R
guys
word
know
is.
the R
my
word.
gosh.
Come on.
Oh, that's. I mean, in New
It's
York.
very mild.
In New York, we use it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I could.
I don't know where we stand on that. I don't want to cancel you guys, but
I still don't know what it is.
I mean,
You can say whatever you want. You're only going to cancel yourself. I am not condoning any
No, I
hate
know.
speech.
the R word for mentally challenged people.
Oh, okay.
But like meaning aside, it's just there's some words, like you said, or some phrases that are just so inherently funny.
Yeah.
And they just punch up everything, and it's just so sad to see them go.
Yeah, well, I think the problem. I agree with you. I think the problem is that they generally refer to a disenfranchised group that you're punching down at,
Right.
which sucks.
But
because
also, and from my experience, like I'm generalizing, but first of all, like I think a lot of these quote unquote down groups actually like when you make fun of them.
yeah,
I think you can tell by the tone and the way it's delivered if it's actually an attack or just almost a hey, we're equals. It can be an equalizer, right? You can use it as like a quote unquote down group to equalize yourself with them because you're like, oh, you're not some poor thing. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna make fun of you like I would my best
Yeah,
friend.
this poor
you
thing
know?
is catching on.
That's not what it means. I'm one to be on the side of I'm okay not being allowed to use it as long as we give a free pass to actual comedians. Like, I would be totally on board with comedians actually having to get like their comedic card, right? And like once they have that license, then they just have the license to be funny in whatever way, shape, or form they want
I
to
don't
be.
necessarily agree with
Cards.
that because sometimes again
It's
it's
all
all
handing the
slick.
cards out. What if they're just not funny?
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
It's such a yeah.
Well, we
Amy
have to
Schumer's
have
not
somebody
funny.
objectively.
No.
AB Schumer's not funny, but she'll have the card.
Yeah, she would get the
That's-
card.
Whatever,
and she's
that's
not
subjective.
Funny.
She's funny to some people, and
No.
that's quite like if you can get a Netflix
But
special,
she's not even
you get to
really
say
dirt-
whatever words you
Yes.
want.
She's not even really that. Is she really? I don't even know.
You see, you don't even know if she's a comic.
No,
That's
I
how
know,
bad
I
she
know her
is.
stuff. No, I know her stuff. I think
She's just shock humor.
yeah, but she doesn't really. She's sexual. They're not like
Right, yeah.
race or
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Bad example because she's not using it, but I guess yeah. That's my whole vantage point is like, especially with the recent thing that happened with Will Smith, where he's slapping Chris Rock for something
I
so
saw that drama.
innocuous.
They came after her on
Innocuous.
Twitter, huh?
They had to have, right?
I mean,
I mean,
they
like-
went hard. I was reading it yesterday. It's
Like, how
felt kinda
ridiculous that words are somehow so powerful now that it's inciting open hand slap. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, what
think
better way
Will
to
Smith
embarrass
has-
somebody?
I think he's done that before. I think a guy tried to kiss him and he slapped him.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not
It's true.
kidding.
It's
I
fact.
think- right?
Was it
Fact.
Berkey?
It was on,
wasn't
it was on the,
like
I think
know
he
that.
just
It was in the run-
he's
not
from
the
Philly.
runway, whatever,
He
like-
slaps people around.
He's from Philly.
We like
but
to slap.
The bigger problem than the actual slap itself was, I think, like her like bravado and pride
Right.
behind the fact that like her hair was made fun of
Well,
and
it
her
was
man
weird
slapped the dude over it.
that he was laughing
you're
and then
not from the hood. You're-
That, I mean, of course.
That was weird,
that's,
right?
That's the worst part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, because it was a funny joke and he knew it was funny,
Right.
and then he
Yeah.
looked at her and was like, "Fuck, I have to go slap this guy in the face."
And he overcompensated.
yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
way
for sure.
and
Well,
that's,
what can you
that's
do
the
at that
part that
point?
was cringe about it is
Well,
that
he could just hold her, kept her hand, or
Sorry.
given her a. I don't know.
No, he was belly laughing. There's no coming back from that. You have to hit a guy now.
Oh my god.
no,
He was doubled over in tears like this. Chris Rocky's. Oh shit, you're not happy.
it wasn't even that bad.
And then
I
she
got
was,
you.
It's not
Then
bad.
she was laughing
He
after.
should have made a
after he
joke
got
about
slapped. When
her
he said
sleeping
Will Smith
around.
just slapped the shit out of me, she started laughing. There was like a
Yeah, the
a
backside
seat,
view.
Yeah, there was a seat filler.
I'm so
sitting there that
sad.
was videotaping.
She was like
it.
so
this. You can see her like
Yeah.
chuckling after you got slapped.
I'm so sad. Like, I think this is one of the most missed comedic opportunities of all time. And granted, it may have come with the cost of an ass beating, but I think even Chris Rock, had he had his wits about him, would have happily exchanged the two.
slapped
But when
him
Will
back?
leans back and screams, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth," if Chris Rock would have just looked him dead in the face and said something along the lines of, "Keep so-and-so out your wife's mouth," as a rebuttal, like,
what happens?
anyone.
What happens then?
Tell
cares?
Tell
What
August to
happened?
keep
I
your
don't
wife
care.
out of
Tell
his
me
mouth.
You can tell Chris Rock that if you say that joke, Will Smith is going to murder you. And I think there'll be a big part of him that'll be like, worth it.
Man, there were no black
Worth
people
it.
at the Oscars before this. Don't do this. Don't cancel us, Will. Come on. You already slapped the man on the
Berkey's
stage.
just here
Don't
for
do it.
chaos. What I say?
I'm just saying, like, the joke is that good and that timely that if, like, on Chris Rock's tombstone, it said murdered by Will Smith for an infidelity joke about Jada, I think he would just be totally fine with that. He'd be like, memorialize me. I'm that goddamn funny. I think it was, yeah, I think that it was a moment of hilarity that it's such low hanging fruit. Like, even I could think of that joke.
Yeah.
He's
He
just
probably
stunned.
thought of it. and
Well, his
didn't
brain's a
say
little
it.
rattled. I don't
Yeah.
even know that he thought about it. I'm going to.
I mean, it's so
Jeez.
crazy she got upset about that. It's just,
It's wild.
but
It's
doesn't
nuts.
that, but like when people get offended like that, doesn't that show like? To me, my first thought is like, you're so insecure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Like you have like. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've dealt with backlash like this.
Sometimes it was deserved. Sometimes, most of the time, I would say not.
Well, I think the most scrutinized one was the you and Bonomo
Yeah,
back and forth. Was
but actually, I think that most people kind of had my side in that specific situation.
it was so fat. So
because he's such a goober. Like
The-
he's so.
there's such a there's an underpinning to the story that is hilarious. You and I were good friends at the time, and while you two were arguing back and forth on Twitter, Bonomo and myself were flying to the Bahamas for the Party Poker 10
Oh, I
million
didn't know that.
guarantee on like this chartered plane out of Vegas that we were all going on. So I found myself in the fray where I was jumping in the thread, and I'm literally at a private airport like this, and I look up, and
Oh my
like
God.
20 yards to my left is Bonomo in his phone like this. And so we're getting on this like 30 passenger flight where everybody knows everybody. And like I'm already sitting down and I'm on my phone like I'm gonna tell this motherfucker what's going
Writing a
on.
bunch of
and I see him like
two-syllable
walking
words.
down the aisle past me, like buried in his phone, like punch
such
it
a-
up, not down when you're a comedian.
It's so funny. Yeah.
It was hilarious and a bit cringe.
Yeah. It's
probably
I
on
think it's
both
just,
sides.
I think it's just kind of part of it. I think that if you're not pushing a little bit about buttons, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think like with comedy, there's just always going to be outrage. There just has to be, right? Like,
But there should be. I'm at a constant barometer of like, am I going too soft? Am I going too hard? Is this shot worth it? Like, is this whatever? But I think that if you're like never taking like a risky stance on something, then what the fuck?
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
what
my
the
bigger
fuck?
point is just like, there's a lot of humor in being distasteful.
Yeah.
So, comedic license kind of allows you to take that route if you so choose. But especially in the culture that we live in now, where everything is cancelable, I think that like there will always be a subsection that is very against any use of being distasteful, any sort of targeting groups.
Yeah.
Like basically, if you make anything other than yourself the butt of the joke,
Yeah.
there will always be a group that is upset.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really difficult thing for anybody who aspires to comedy to try to juggle. Like, sure, you could be the Jim Galifianakis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Is that the guy with the puppets?
No.
God, I hate that guy.
Tim
Gaffigan?
Fader.
Gaffigan, yeah. Where he's just like, he's super PG. He never really steps out of line.
Yeah, of course.
And like, that's
Seinfeld.
hard, right? Like, I mean, he's very funny. And he never really
Yeah.
does anything inflammatory. But that's not like raw comedy. You know, it's not Eddie Murphy.
I mean, I think that can be hard too, but like it doesn't do it for me. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
sex. It's like you can tell me I'm just gonna have sex with missionary style the rest of my life with like the most boring vanilla thing, and some people like love that, and they can more power to you. But like it just doesn't do it for me.
I just woke up. What happened?
Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's the same kind of thing.
I mean, I
you
think
know?
it's like a matter of being authentic, right? Like
Yeah.
that is your authentic expression of like your taste in comedy.
I also just think that like we've given
Yeah.
certain passes to comedians across the board, depending on like how they're qualified. So like if you're of certain ethnicities, your freedom to make fun of other ethnic groups is a lot more vast than if you're
the Depression Olympics.
yeah.
course.
But even there it ends up being lines, right? Like Dave
course.
Chappelle can make fun of like whatever ethnic group he wants, but the second that he makes a trans joke, they want to remove it from Netflix.
Of course.
And it just becomes like a little bit weird where it's like we have to qualify the humor based off of the source rather than based off the merit of the joke, right? Like
But I just
somehow
think-
it's an expression of hate if it's not coming from the proper source.
I just think that like it's so hard 'cause it's there's no like fine line of it, but I think the intent is the only way you judge it. And to me, it's always most of it's blatantly obvious when someone's just like a racist or like an
Yeah.
asshole. You can tell in the vitriol and the way that they deliver it and their history. You can tell when somebody is like attacking and when someone just either made a mistake, swung and missed, or just
Also, it's very rarely
Whatever.
funny. It's very rarely funny when somebody who's like
who's mean.
outwardly mean
when
or
they're,
racist.
you know,
or-
you can tell when they're like emotionally involved in it, and then it's just sort
Yeah.
of cringe, like because like they're coming off as very fragile in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think Bill Burr is like a perfect example where I think to anybody who's not familiar with his comedy, he probably just appears to be this bigoted racist
Oh, he's the best. Though.
who's so angry and everything else. But it's all the shtick.
Of course.
It's the complete bit. Like one of the funniest things that I've watched him do wasn't even comedy. It was just like him having a conversation. He was on Joe Rogan somewhere in the midst of the pandemic, like sometime in 2020, or maybe it was like even early 2021, and they were talking about like just COVID and wearing masks or whatever, and Rogan said something along the lines of like, "You're not still wearing that thing, are you?" And he's just like, "Don't fucking start with me, Joe. I'm not getting into this. You're not gonna bait me." Like,
I think I saw that.
They say wear the mask. I wear the fucking mask. Like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? It's like if anybody is gonna be outwardly hardcore right there and like my face, my freedom type of thing, the implication would be that it's Bill Burr because he's perceived to be bigoted and racist there. But no, the guy's just fucking funny.
Yeah.
And he's logical and rational, and you know, he abide by whatever societal norms are within a boundary of reason, right? Like he won't be controlled, he won't be penned in. They won't say like you're not allowed to say these 7 words or anything like that. And this goes all the way back to oh my God, George Carlin, the 7 words that you can't say on TV. Like this isn't anything new. But I do think that the hard line in the sand always seems to be that we tend to disqualify based off of the source, which is, to me, I don't think unfair is the right word. I just think it's like unnecessary, right? Like it seems strange
just
that
like outrage culture, and you're gonna find it. The other thing is that not everybody used to have somewhere to air their complaints in a public forum.
that is such.
So today, like,
truth.
you're just going to hear a lot more of people being mad. And that's just the nature of there being not a barrier to entry to have your thoughts just broadcasted to the world. Like now there is none besides having internet.
I think like future societies are really going to spend a lot of time like psychologically studying this era.
Yeah. Oh,
We're,
100%.
like we're such a petri
We're guinea
dish.
pigs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're like such a petri dish for what happens whenever like everybody gets the same
Connects.
footing of a platform.
It's information overload. It's too many people like talking at once, voicing complaints, you know, projecting all their shit onto the internet and the world. I mean, it's just sort of like we're not biologically like used to this or meant for this. So it's sort of just a lot.
And it's not even just words, right? Like you have the ability to express yourself in all capacities for the entire world to see. So whether we're talking about nudism, sexuality,
necrophilia,
Jesus Christ.
kissing guys,
Wait, what guys?
kissing them.
Oh, kissing guys. Right. Yeah, I mean it's a good and bad thing, right? Like it's the evolution of any sort of technology or culture or whatever the case may be. We're literally at the forefront. We're pioneers in that regard.
I love that Wild West period though. Like that's my favorite time of anything.
You know why?
Why?
Because it's when you can get rich.
Yeah, probably. No, because it's just like I love when there's no rules or like
freedom.
and you're just like, you know, you could get like fucked over or killed, or like you could like become the best and the most rich. It's like
and in this instance, fuck over or killed is canceled.
Sure,
the best is amplified.
Like, well, so like with the internet, the Wild West is probably that the early like there's all the shock porn and all that crazy stuff, and there's Silk Road, and that was like my coming up into the world time. So I just the Wild West.
I still think we're largely in it. With the advent of blockchain technology.
A little bit more mature now, though.
Well, the internet itself is, but everything that spawns off of it is not, right?
Yeah.
So
like,
these social platforms, blockchain technology, all this stuff is brand new to us.
You're kind of seeing like the mini like iterations of the Wild West happen, like NFT Wild West. Now that's mature, but it's happening a lot faster because everything's online.
Yeah.
So like the Wild West you gotta catch it quickly because it really flies by.
Yeah, at some point we're all going to be rendered useless, and all we're going to have left to do is make funny videos and hope that people don't cancel us.
Maybe.
Yeah, poker is actually one of the rare industries I feel like it's pretty hard to get canceled. That's one of the reasons why I love it too.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we need to cancel more, I would say. I don't say that. We needed to cancel some scammers and some
Yeah, we do suck at that.
We really are forgiving, huh?
I don't even know that we're forgiving. Like, everybody's attention span to care is so short.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like it both makes me happy and makes me question my own sanity of why it interests me so much to toe the line and try to be like ethically correct and live up to my values, because it's just like there's so much more money in not doing that, and there's no repercussion. There's just not.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
sleep at night.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
You have to live with yourself.
Sure. Obviously it's a personal choice, and like I understand it, but I'm also very critical of those who don't adhere to a high moral standard or whatever.
Well, I think about this kind of often because it makes a lot of sense why there's so many like people who are devoid of empathy, like at the top, like money wise, because like we all could name a bunch of ways to like get rich unethically, but it doesn't mean that we're willing to do them.
I actually thought about this.
You've thought about this too?
No,
I've been thinking about this recently.
I think we were having a conversation maybe like a year and a half ago of how much money like I could steal from the
Yeah.
poker community
Right.
before like
Well,
I
I
get
was
caught.
thinking
Oh, yeah. I
about
said
it
a
a
million
lot
easy.
when I
I
was.
said it was $1 million. Yeah, we both agreed on $1 million. Like
Right.
easy. Like, oh, I need to borrow for this, or I'm selling for this. Blah blah. blah.
Yeah. I
A
mean,
million,
course.
and you're
If
just like
you-
right off in the sunset.
Not even stealing too, like selling it. You don't have to go that far. You could even do like, I'm selling it 1.8. I'm selling it fucking 2.0. I'm, you know.
Well, when the pandemic started,
that's
I
not
had
really stealing. That's just
when the
I don't
pandemic
even know.
started, I had
Willing
infinite
participants?
opportunities to
Snake
like
oil.
start clubs
I don't know.
and just get like rate gouge, right?
Right.
It's like I could have made 7 figures very easily.
Yeah.
With a large email list, a community through Solve for Why, everything else. It's like we could have clubs sprouting up across all the platforms, ranging from 10 cent, 25 cent, all the way
Right.
up to $25, $50, whatever.
Yeah.
And taking 2 or 3 big blinds per hand.
Right.
So rich.
And I mean, we'd be looking at like minimum 100K a month in rake.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that are doing this, and it's like I frown upon it because it's so cannibalistic. Like the people that
Yeah.
you're taking from have no shot.
Right.
You're literally
and you're
robbing
selling them the
Yeah.
pipe dream that they do.
Right.
Like, it's the
and
rake's
you
unbeatable.
can permiss it in your mind because you're like, well, I'm fulfilling a need. They want entertainment and I'm providing that. And it's the same thing as like celebrities selling it markup that's unbeatable.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're selling their celebrity status and people want to sweat it. And it's like,
Yeah.
that is a free market argument that I can't really combat against.
Right.
But I feel so filthy inside.
Yeah,
like,
because
I would feel
like
so
you
bad getting
personally
rich that
wouldn't
way.
do it, so it's
Right.
hard to like justify someone else doing it.
But I shouldn't
was-
judge those that do.
Yeah.
Is the problem, and I do. Like
Yeah.
I look down so hard on people that take these paths because to me it's a shortcut, and to me it's like such a gross way of capitalizing
Yeah.
on the weaknesses of the general populace.
Right.
Right. Like the whole idea of I should get rich off other people's stupidity to me
Yeah.
is a very toxic
Well,
one.
if something is like easy money, in my opinion, so I thought about this a lot when I was like doing a lot of NFT stuff, and how just every other day there's a new like 16-year-old who's like making a 10K collection, selling out for like $1 million and then rugging. And this is happening all the time, and it's like extremely easy to do. But like, to me, it's like easy money is never actually easy because there's a moral cost, and like that's why I always just think about like how there's so many like sociopaths at the very top because they don't care about, like, they don't have the moral cost. So to
Right.
them it's just like, okay, easy money.
Worse.
You're also
Detached.
providing a service to play. Like a lot of these people don't have access of places to play.
Right.
Like so, I think there's like a line here. Like
Well, the line is if it's beatable, and you're providing them a game that's unbeatable. You're not
Right.
providing them a fair environment.
just because of rake in general.
Yes. You cannot beat 2 or 3 big blinds per hand.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nope.
there's
But,
a
like-
medium though, Berkey, where like you give some rake back if you think it's not beatable, and then you actually maybe make it beatable.
And also,
No,
what
no,
if you
because
cap
the way
rake?
that those function, you give the rake back to the biggest losers. That rake back cannot make them winners,
Right.
but you keep the biggest loser around because they're your marketing. They're who you're promoting the game through. And now you're taking
So
all
you
that.
keep generating more rake.
Right. So all you're doing is recirculating amongst the worst to keep those that can't. Ultimately, like, you're making the most amount of money, and this is crazy to say, but you're making the most amount of money from the quote unquote winning players.
Yeah.
Because they're not fucking winning. They're
Right.
losing to the rake that you're now redistributing amongst the
right.
biggest losers. And now you're flattening everybody else out. So basically your entire club now is losing like 1 or 2 big blinds per 100 instead of having giga whales losing 10 or
Yeah.
15 big blinds
You're
per
basically
100.
trying to make it all break even across the
Exactly.
board so that you can just rake.
So you can just rake it to
the
death.
rake
You just become a
wins.
sports book.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like whatever. I mean, to me that's unethical, but to others I don't think it is. And I recognize I'm on a high horse saying that because it's like I have no problem with women doing OnlyFans. None whatsoever. It doesn't go against my value system. It's like, get yours, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that would say like that's morally corrupt.
Right.
I don't think it's
And-
the same. It's not even close to the same thing, though.
Agreed, because it's yourself that is being exploited in that instance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
self-exploitation
Although
that you're
there is
comfortable
some
with.
genres of it that, like, to me, like, I was reading an article about like financial dominatrixes, and I think it was maybe it was Vice or something else. They did like
was this an
op-ed on it.
article or was this
It was
research
like
paper?
It was like an op-ed. Like it was like but they interviewed guys who like participated
It was a
in this
how-to.
market. No, it was not a how-to. it was they were talking to guys who have had, and a lot of time, because I know somebody who does it, and the vernacular that she uses was like really interesting to me because she was saying a lot of like relapse with me was like a common thing. So I'm like, what's going on here? Like, is there like, what's the market of who is back? So they basically insult men and into giving them money, and I guess that's like a fetish of some sort. But I was reading in the article, and it's actually like, it just left me with a pretty bad taste in my mouth because a lot of the guys who are buying it are like really addicted to this dynamic, and it's like stemming from a lot of trauma stuff. And so to me, that felt very morally icky, like to read about the other side of that, knowing people on the side benefiting from it. And these guys are not like rich guys either, like they're like borrowing money to like give to these.
Well, the drug economy is the same.
I mean, every vice, alcohol, drugs,
right?
gambling.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's very hard to know. Hard. Like applying free market in those areas allow you to remove the moral judgment, I think, or the value judgment. But like at the same token, it's just like you're gonna get to see people get ruined. Yeah,
it's just sort of like, I guess everyone just has their own line, and it's sort of like what can you sleep at night doing, sort of thing. But it's.
I mean, we justify it to ourselves in this game.
Yeah, I know.
Right, where it's just like, okay, everybody knows.
High stakes, isn't it? Really, like you're getting a couple whales that are effectively probably have a problem. Not all the time, but a lot of times they have problems.
Right.
Well, I mean,
people get exploited a lot, you know.
Yeah, no, they're for sure getting exploited, but I think it's willfully, which I don't necessarily know that changes the debate.
If you have a problem, like that's the old argument. If you're an alcoholic, is it really you,
if you're
or
gambling
is it
at
your
it?
sickness?
Right. Well, I guess what I'm saying about the people in high stakes is that generally it won't break them. So though they are being exploited, it's willful in that regard.
It's like manageable.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily know that makes it
They're
better.
Functioning.
Right.
Alcoholic.
But like, I don't know if that makes it better, right?
But some maybe don't, like, right? Like there could be whales with their whole.
Usually it happens more at the mid-stake level, but
it's so tough because I think a lot of people, even if they know that they're losing, they're happy to do it,
right?
Because they can afford it,
yeah.
And they're literally like, in that case, great,
yeah.
But I don't think that's everybody.
Well, I guess that's the part where it's like I don't even know that I can, like, we justify what we do basically.
Yeah.
Where it's like, for me, it's a battlefield, it's a competition that everybody knows the rules of.
Yeah.
Everybody is on level playing field. We all have access to the same information within reason. We all have the same abilities to achieve a certain level, right? And some willfully choose not to and enter the arena anyway. So in that regard, like I see poker the same way I see other markets.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing with stock. There's always going to be dumb money in every market, right? And I can't have a bleeding heart and empathy for all of them, or else like the world just kind of stops turning.
Yeah.
But like,
and also like they're trying to take your money too.
Right.
So.
Right. So it is kind of fair in that regard. But then it's like, well, at what point do I get to become self-righteous? Right. Then why do I get to judge the person who's saying, well, I'm just not going to be the person who plays in the game at a fair capacity. Instead, I'm going to be the operator.
Yeah.
Because somebody needs to be the operator.
Right.
And that's going to be me.
And I guess it's not technically like super unethical. Well, are they showing that how much rate
almost
they're taking,
never,
right?
You have
so
to,
then
like,
that
ask.
part is a little bit like
and it's also like very pyramid-y. Like there's almost always downlines where it's like you have an agent who has an agent who works under the umbrella of the game runner, and like each and every one of them gets a cut of the rake, and they're each allowed to pass on a certain cut of the rake to their losing players, and you know, it just all gets dispersed because they're taking that much out of the fucking game, right? It's like when you're taking that much rake that you can be on the down line and still making like 10 or 20K a month. Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck does the upline look like? Right? At the top, that means that they're making like 5-10x that amount.
Yeah.
Which means that, you know, nobody's fucking winning. But I do think that I'm a little bit self-righteous in those regards. It's just, it's a philosophical dilemma that I haven't fleshed out yet. Yeah. And I don't even necessarily know how we got this far off track, but.
Well, I did want to make some side comment, like you were saying about the OnlyFans and stuff. I watched my first mukbang the other day. Have you ever seen a mukbang?
Yes.
No.
It's disturbing.
It's so
What is
mukbang?
it?
Wait, what is this?
A mukbang is when people make it's a big thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
They gorge themselves they're usually like super overweight and they gorge themselves at McDonald's or whatever,
It's
and you watch them
crazy.
for like 2 hours just stuff their face and like
This
So
is mad popular.
there's
Yeah,
one
yeah,
guy
super
who
popular.
started it. I watched
Yeah.
a video about him.
Michael Avocado or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he started off like very normal looking, very normal sized, and then
That's what I watched.
compared to the very like most recent, he's massive, and it's just like it's gotten even crazier. Like it's just like, you know, when does it at what
It's
point
huge.
does it
Oh
stop?
God.
Yeah, so these people
Wait till they
just
zoom
sit
out and you
here.
see all the
This is
food.
gonna trigger Berkey's disorder, but
Oh. I'm not the goddamn one with the disorder. It's these idiots.
Usually
Yes,
it's more than
yeah.
that. It's like a whole table.
yeah,
Oh, this
and,
is so
and like the thumbnails
disgusting.
are always
People-
like
They get
them,
millions of views.
Yeah.
like show
Yeah,
like the
people love
thumbnails, like
watching
it's
it,
like
and
them
they
with
pay-
It's
like
popular.
look at
See,
that
it's like- yeah.
that guy. Nick Okada or whatever.
And he just-
so his first video ever, he's like a thin man.
thing.
This is so sad to me.
It's crazy, but this is like these. I don't know why these are huge on YouTube.
People love
How many
millions
views
and
does
millions
this
of
have?
People want to feel better about themselves. They
What's
either
the
want to.
appeal? Is
Okay.
it so like because I wish I could do that's
Well,
what
I think it's either people are fat like that and eat poorly and want to relate,
What are the
or at least be able
comments
to point to someone and say like, "That guy's worse than me."
Yeah, I
Right?
think it's like some of it's like vicarious eating, maybe.
Yeah, or like other people
the
just
fact
wanna
that
watch a
there's
train
that
wreck.
big of a market for it is
It's so crazy.
Well, think about it. It
Crazy.
hits both sides of the spectrum, right? There are a lot of people that are are incapable of getting their eating habits under control, and they can't lose the weight, and they want to relate or at least look to somebody who's worse,
Yeah.
right? And just be like, "Oh my God, like at least I'm not
Actually,
him."
no, this makes sense because when I was like addicted to drugs, I would totally want to like watch people worse than me.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is people who are like normal or normies in some regard to this just want to see a fucking train wreck.
Yeah.
They just want to point
I mean,
and be
I
like,
watched it for like longer than I did.
Yeah.
It's
I watched
mesmerizing.
several different ones. I
Yeah.
was just like, what is happening? But it was sad to me. It was just like, it's like you were saying about, I don't know, there's something gross about it.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad, but just the whole experience of people watching it.
Yeah.
Them.
That's
I think
46 million views.
The
It's
sad
crazy.
part to me is that they're getting like such like positive feedback on it that it just creates this feedback loop of them
Yeah.
like continuing to gorge
Yeah, you're
themselves
watching.
more
You're
and
like
more
watching
and more.
someone slowly kill themselves.
Yeah, and then
it's
they will like
that's what the
eventually
sad-
like
sad
that's
part
the,
about it
the
is,
end
right?
of it.
Yeah, but the
is-
companies are probably in on it
Of
too.
course.
Yeah,
Like
why
you
wouldn't
get
they
46
be?
million views. Like I want you eating my
Why
stuff.
wouldn't they be? Yeah, they're sending
like-
them
it's true.
stuff.
Like,
I
oh,
mean,
like, eat
there
this.
was a guy named he was big on YouTube when YouTube was just starting called Shoe Nice, and he would just chug bottles of alcohol.
"Oh, I remember it. I remember
Yeah.
this.
What?
I've seen
And,
like TikToks."
Yeah, and he would eat like glue and like paper and just chug. He would eat anything basically. And then he started getting sponsorships from like alcohol companies. He had a drinking problem too. So obviously he's
I
downing,
mean, this is
you
kind
know,
of the
handles
twisted part, right?
vodka.
Because like if you're providing content that's actually beneficial to people rather than just a train wreck for them to watch,
yeah,
the opportunities are so much
you
lower.
get a positive feedback loop.
Yeah,
you
well, it's
guys-
just like if I go out there and create a diet optimization channel,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying like a one size fits all one, but more so just like a model of like, okay, these are what macros are. This is how a day should be laid out. These are good, healthy recipes, all that type of shit. Who the fuck's sponsoring that? Whole Foods isn't coming out of the woodwork,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But it's really easy to just say like, I'm going to eat 1,000 McDonald's chicken nuggets. Did I say McDonald's? Because I meant Wendy's.
Right.
Like, which one of you want to throw money
Yeah,
at me?
exactly.
And they're
Well,
just
same
very
thing as-
quick to line up.
Same thing as news or anything else. Like there's
Yeah.
money in outrage, and there's the reason why news isn't news
Stock
anymore.
stuff.
Right.
Because healthy stuff doesn't really sell.
It does.
Positives.
It does. It
Negative
has
stories.
a,
Smaller. but does,
it certainly
of
has a
course.
market.
Yeah.
But it's more niche than it should be.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's new. So it's like there aren't
Yeah.
the established old brands, right? Like Nabisco and Kraft. These guys aren't getting in the game
Yeah.
whenever it comes to health because that's not where the money lies. Sure, you can upcharge because people are willing to pay a premium, but you're not hitting 80-90% of the population like you are when you make a fucking little Debbie snack.
Right. Well, and it's also like the health like stuff that people will be pushing is like a flat tummy tea or like these gimmick things that are like quick fix type
Yeah.
of things. Like people just want instant gratification. So
Mark Cuban's like one of my favorite on Shark Tank to watch when it comes to this type of stuff because he's very rigorous in calling out bullshit. Because when it comes to supplements, you can guarantee anything, and there's no regulatory body.
Right.
So people will show up and they'll say like,
yeah, supplements are not regulated.
right, they're not regulated by the FDA. So
Yeah.
like there's no regulatory body over them whatsoever. And a lot of times in their ingredient list, they can hide a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
if they put like natural flavors, it can have fucking arsenic in it. And it can fall under the label of natural flavors,
Yeah.
right? So people will come on, they'll make these wild, outlandish claims, and he'll just like stop them in the middle of their presentation and just be like, have you had this clinically studied? Have you had this clinically tested? And they'll just be like, well, you know, we're waiting for a patent, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm fucking out. You guys are crooks. And it's true, because it's like everybody who's trying to now get into that space, recognizing that it's a growing niche and that it's $1 billion industry moving a lot closer towards $1 trillion, because everybody has fucking health problems now. And the idea of living better is kind of becoming a lot more popularized, right? Everybody that's now trying to enter that space are just trying to merge the two together. It's like,
Yeah.
well, there's this big collective space of people who are unhealthy
Right.
and eat like shit. And we know that we're not going to be able to transform them all the way to the other end of the spectrum. So how can we overlap the two? I know we can give them what they've always had and what they've always wanted, and then claim that it's going to do what this new space is guaranteeing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing fucking stopping us.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, it really is. That's another good example of like it being the wild, wild west. And I'm not necessarily saying that the FDA regulating supplements or whatever would be a great thing, but it is very
the FDA
clear.
is- No,
Of
not
course.
exactly even
Yeah.
like.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ancient
Right.
in what
Yeah,
the
I
FDA
mean, they're corrupt.
promotes is like health
Yeah.
smy the food pyramid's like the biggest fucking joke.
Oh my
the
God.
grains and the
Yeah, it's just like laughable the way that they even qualify
Right.
different types of food, let alone how they recommend they should be consumed.
Yeah.
And it's all backed by big business. You know, it's like if you look at it, it's just follow the lobbyist money, and you'll understand how these governmental programs are being developed. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why food stamps buy certain things, why WIC buys certain things that you can't utilize in other areas. It's all predicated off of where the lobbyists put the most amount of emphasis and where the money lies. That's
So
my
when can
rant.
we get those lobbyists to put some money in poker marketing?
Or just like legalize.
Yeah,
we could
or
just
just make it
legalize
legal.
Well-
yeah.
Well, that is actually happening. So
Yeah.
I don't think people understand, but a big reason why WSOP and BetMGM and Party Poker US and even PokerStars US, the reason why their footprint is so small and why the growth is so slow is because they're basically cock-blocked by a lot of state-by-state laws and legislation, right? So when a major factor as to why they lack such marketing premise or prowess in each of their markets and why there's no growth, why there's no real push to acquire, is because they're spending all of their fucking money, all of it, on lobbyists.
That's fine with me,
Every single
honestly.
penny to try to get more states legalized. Because the second that they can get California on board in some way, shape, or form, the whole dam breaks. Right?
Really?
It
Is that like the toughest one?
It just hinges so much on California, New York, and Florida. Like those 3 states have such high liquidity by comparison to the other 47
right.
that just one of them coming on board and saying we'll share liquidity with the
I think the
entire
Hustler
United States.
stream is just like endless people with like play that game. Like,
Yeah.
where do
Yeah.
people come from in LA? Like, where do they fucking come
Yeah,
from?
what are you guys doing?
Like,
and What's
every
happening
Friday
in
they're just
LA?
like,
Who are you? Like,
You're covered in tattoos and you have so much money, and your
Yeah.
name is like DJ Mushroom. Like, where did you come from?
that doesn't happen in Vegas. No one's just rolling
No.
up to the win.
No.
You know, it's just
And
there's money in this town. But
it's
not
such
like
a small
that.
glimpse into the world too, because there are underground games that are 5 times the size that are populated by 2 or 3 times as many people.
Crazy.
And like we never even see them in the public sphere. Every once in a while, like they just get bored or they don't have a game that night, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll come play Hustler Live." You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of that's how Ryan acquired these people, like just being a part of the private scene, brushing elbows with certain people that it's like, "Hey, well, I have this show. Would you like to be a part of it?" And
Yeah.
there are personalities out there that are like, "I would love to be on
Right.
camera."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. Let's get out there, man. And like, that's how you get reoccurring characters.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you got to hustle for the money these days.
That's true.
This market's not what it used to be.
No.
You guys don't understand what 2003 was
No,
like.
and it's like I am jealous because poker was already like solvery when I started.
Yeah. 2003 was like LA poker.
Right.
Not even the way it was played, just in the total turnover of money. It
Yeah.
was just free money after free money after. It was never going to end. I remember my roommate in college, bonus hoard. He just bonus hoard for a year and made $100,000.
Wow.
And I was like annoyed and like laughing because he was like grinding like 50 cents a dollar online.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, this is never going to make you better at this game. Meanwhile, I have like $12,000 and it's on the fucking table every single time I show up at the casino. Like, hey, you hear there's a 5-10 game? Yeah, I'm taking 80% of my roll. You want to come? And it's like, I'm struggling for like the first 3 or 4 years and he's literally just like bonus whoring and affiliating and, you know, making 6 figures. But long term, it worked out better for me as far as acquiring skill.
Yeah.
But like, I look back at that time frame and oh my God, the amount of money that was left on the table. Like just having liquidity and the ability to play bigger then. Ooh, it was so free.
There was like a mini online like COVID boom. That's like the closest thing I've experienced to there being like.
It felt like a throwback.
You know, that was fun.
It did feel like a throwback. I was playing WSOP every day, and I think for like the better part of 6 to 8 months, I was playing 25-50 plus.
Yeah.
With like random.
I mean, the 200-400 was running. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy JS Carney would show up, and we would just like get 100, 200, 200, 400 off like once or twice a week. Oh my God, so sick. Because it's so infrequent, you're so disgusted by the outcomes. So it's like there would be days where I would like just be getting ready to walk out the door to go play pickleball and do something with my life. I'd be like, let me just check WSOP lobby real quick. And I'd log on and like JS Carney would just like, he might be the only one sitting. I'm like, fuck. And I'd sit. Or it's like there are 5 people sitting and not everyone can play 200, 400 and I have enough balance. It's like, okay, I'm going to sit. And you always get wrecked in that spot. Always. 100% of the time. It's like, God, why did I do this to myself? This is so dumb.
I should have gone and played pickleball.
Right. But like looking back, like what a fucking year. It was insane. That was the most I ever made online in my life.
It was cool because that's the closest thing I've experienced to like pre-Black Friday online poker.
Yeah.
Just the prize pools were massive. Like that WSOP online was getting crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like that was,
we'll end on this because I can't believe it took me this long to get to it, but it does transition well. Do you miss high stakes? I was there the first time baby Marles bambied her way into Ivy's room.
I was literally playing 2-5 with the win, and you texted me like, "We have a seat open." And I was like, "Okay." And well, the person who stakes me, that was like he had which by the way everyone thinks it's you who's staking me. I want to like
they think
Berkey
stakes
Berkey's never staked me.
Yeah.
Apparently Berkey's staking every woman in poker.
The crazy part is I was openly backed at the time. Like I was very open about the fact I was backed for these games, and people still thought that I was somehow backing Marle.
I just think you're a sugar daddy.
Well, because you are how I got into the game.
Yeah, but everybody has a contact.
That was no financial component. It was just whatever. But yeah, and so the guy, he still stakes me for big games, and just texted him and was like, "Hey, I knew you were interested in staking me. Like, I have a seat right now. I'm headed over to Aria. Does that offer still stand?" And he was just like, "Yep, have fun." And then, but do I miss it? I have to say, like, I'm kind of like over the swings now. I don't really have the gamble in me as much anymore. I really can get excited about like a big tournament series, but besides that, I'm like kind of. Also, it's like I said, it's so infrequent too. So when you do lose, or it feels like such a small sample, so much pressure on it. Because I'm like, fuck, if I lose like 300K tonight. Like,
I mean, I felt for you a lot. Like we were in pretty close contact throughout the whole time that you were playing the big game, and you were just on such a short leash. And understandably so. It's hard to come up with like millions and millions of dollars to play these games, but it's obviously a super profitable spot too. So it's like if you have 10 buy-ins, if you have 5 buy-ins, you just take these shots. Well, like the game often got big. I think the first game you came and played, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were playing 3-6 and we were 4-handed. It was you, me, Dr. Sean, and Baldwin. And the game was going to break until you showed up. And honestly, you did the best thing that you could ever do in that environment. She walks in the door. I think we were like 5 or 6 handed, but it was clear like a couple of people were going to leave. She sits down and just immediately orders a whiskey. And Baldwin was just like, I'll have another one. And he just like absolutely committed to getting drunk at that point.
Wow.
It was great. We ended up playing like 4-handed for a few hours. I
won my first. I won. I think I won like 13K or something.
Yeah. I think it worked out pretty well for me.
I think you, yeah.
I got the drunk guys pretty good, but you were hit. You obviously had a seat locked at that point. Like they were huge fans.
Yeah.
I remember Sean, you were like racking or whatever. I don't know. Did you send Andre the video?
No, I didn't. I had to find it.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. But I took a video of her like racking, and it was just like this moment where it was so clear that it was like a big deal. And I remember what that felt like. The first time I walked in that room, I was mortified, especially because like I didn't get
the chili. Chili time.
Yeah. And I didn't get to like just sit with no resistance, right? Like for all intent and purposes, everybody was very welcoming to Marle. I walked in and Alan Richardson like looks at me and goes, "The fuck is he doing here?" And Jeremy's like, he's Bob Bright's friend. He's going to get a play today, yada, yada, yada. Richardson storms out of the room. And he comes back like half an hour later with a fucking printout of my Hendon mob. And he hands it to Jeremy, like sticks it in his face. He's like, he has $3.2 million in Hendon mob earnings. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, like I've been here for 10 minutes. And I can't afford to be in this game to begin with. Like, can you let me gamble in peace?
That's so funny. But then he played with you for 10 minutes and he was like, oh, he's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
He can stay.
But yeah, it was just like, I think everybody welcomed you pretty well. But at the end of the session, like she won and like she's sitting there racking up her chips and everything. And I remember it was like this question of like, what the fuck do I do with all of this? Because first of all, those big games are a little awkward in the sense that there are way too many chips on the table. So like, you might have at any given time 5 different denominations of chips.
Yeah.
Which is so outrageous.
Right.
Like no other game in the world plays that way. You play 5-10, you have 2 chips on the table, period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like you end up with like all this change and all these racks and stuff like that. And I remember, I don't know if you had a box at that time or like they were getting you one. But I just remember Sean looking at you and going, like, kind of giving you an elbow, being like, if you stick around long enough, they'll get you a big box.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'd been playing for like 2 years at this point, and I'd just gotten a big box. I was just like, it's a real special
It's the girl
moment.
factor. It's the girl factor.
Yeah,
that's true.
Face equity.
Face equity.
It is
That's why I
face
don't
equ-
get speeding tickets.
That's fair. Also, what I had to do to get the big box was lose my key to the small box. I was just like, I don't have it anymore. So they had to drill it. And they're like, you're here a lot. Do you want a big boy box? I was like, I would love a big boy box. That would be fantastic.
I'm ready for my big boy box.
Yeah, I'm going to stuff it full of coins and things so it feels like I have real money.
Yeah.
I'm going to put all my Bitcoins in there. Those are tangible, right?
Yeah.
I miss those games so much. I miss like everything about the Ivy Room. And I've played a lot of private games since. I don't think anything compares.
I'm a little weary of playing private games that aren't casinos now. I had one bad experience. I won't get into the details, but it was a few Vegas regs who we're pretty sure we all cheated.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to that game.
I was invited to that game. I
thought you were there.
No.
We're OGs. We know better.
No, I was definitely not there.
I warned you.
I warned you.
You had to meet your hero.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to like.
No, if we say the name, then
Yeah.
it comes out right away. I know what it's.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm weary of it. Plus, like, there's other things like being a girl too. Just even if you, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like I would like want to have somebody that I know there as like a
minimum.
buffer. Yeah, like because I just feel like things could get a little dangerous, maybe potentially.
I could say pretty confidently that nothing will threaten you physically.
Right.
But I can also say pretty confidently you will absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
Be
get hit on
uncomfortable
and
at some
stuff.
point.
Like that's whatever. I'm there to make money.
Yeah, but like.
So if that's part of like the sort of like because when I worked in retail, customer service or whatever, I had to deal with that too.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I get, and honestly, like to be fair, in this arena, like if you're playing high enough and you're a woman, the best thing you can do is draw a line in the sand quickly because these guys.
What if I just wear
absolutely
like a
respect it.
tux?
No, it's not about that.
Oh,
It's literally just like checking them the first time somebody says it, and more importantly, doing it to somebody that doesn't have enough power over you to kick you out.
Right.
So it's like
just setting the precedent.
Yeah. So it's like you don't necessarily go after the guy in the room, right? You kind of like let him observe you checking like another reg or something like that who crosses the line, because I think that. Like Fair is a great example of this. She was never disrespected once.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's also Phil's wife.
I understand that.
It's a great buffer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it for sure is. It for sure is. But it's like
hitting
the
on
nicest
Steph
guy
Curry's
in
wife.
the-
You can't hit on Steph Curry's
because
wife.
I'm not gonna say names, but there are other like there are other like wives that play in that game that like don't get that same treatment.
Yeah, but Phil's like the nicest guy in poker.
Sure,
it
but
would
like
be a complete asshole to hit on his
Yeah,
wife.
but there are like just a lot of older creeps who are giga rich that can
There are
buy and
guys who
sell
just,
Phil
don't
twice.
care, that's for
right.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm married, and for sure I still get it. From
Yeah,
people who, like,
100%.
know-
I
you know
I
what
used to
mean?
wear a fake
100%.
ring, and I feel like I got hit on more when I had the ring on. They're like, "Oh,
I feel
a
like
challenge."
Melissa
guys.
would love the underworld.
I
Like,
would. I was raised in the underworld.
I,
The
Yeah,
Wild
of
West.
I could see it.
I
I could
love the
see the
Wild
underworld
West.
in you.
Like, I love that stuff.
It's
He was
like
born into the
Give me
darkness.
no rules. Like, give me some danger.
the underworld is.
I'm there.
I do feel like I put up with too much. There's been a few times where like I've been in games, private and actually on streams, and people have come up to me after and been like, "Okay, like that was really bad," and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even think of it." Like I don't. People just I guess guys being touchy or guys being
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is.
I don't know.
But-
It's sort of weird because when you're in a game and someone's being like that, you kind of know that you have a bit of an upper hand on them. Like,
Yeah,
It's weird as a guy's vantage point
maybe
too.
that's bad, but
Especially like if
Yeah.
you already have an established relationship, like seeing a wealthy older guy who's the game's built around,
Right.
like call you baby or sweetie.
yeah.
It's just like I don't know how innocuous that is or how like bothersome it is.
Yeah.
But it seems innocent enough where like that's not where the line gets drawn.
No, I wouldn't.
But then I've seen like
a
the whole other side of the coin where it's just like girls are getting like fondled and
see,
grabbed
that
and
would-
like
they're getting tased if they're touching me. Absolutely.
Sure.
But sometimes it's not as overt as like they're literally putting their hand on your leg.
Right, like, it's like
They're
they'll
just kinda-
touch the back.
They're touching your arm, and they're or like, or even they're just like in your face.
I would probably just
Bro,
make
I've
a
seen
joke.
it all. I've seen
I would
it
probably
all.
just
But
be
I'll
like,
leave that
"Oh,
for the
you're so
Patreon.
touchy."
I'll leave it for the Patreon. I've seen it all.
I think usually where the
course.
line gets super blurry is whenever it comes to jokes. I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. And it was honestly probably a bad look on my part, but myself and Freddie Deeb's daughter, Jeannie, were at the same WSOP main event table, and it was the two of us and like 7 men over the age of 50.
Uh-huh.
And you know, her and I were friendly enough that we like bantered back and forth, and they're kind of all on the outs. Like they're just bad rec players, whatever. We're the ones making money off of them, no big deal. And this was probably like, I don't know, 2014-ish, 2015 maybe. So there are a couple guys like in the 4, 5, 6 seat that are just relentless with the female dealers. Like they're just hitting on them at no cost. Like there's just no hesitation. They're
Yeah.
just pouring it on.
Right.
And they're kind of like making subtle flirty comments at Jeannie too, or Janine rather. But like, you know, in the dirty old man kind of way, like nothing too terrible. It's a light-spirited table otherwise, though. Like, there's a lot of jokes flying. It seems to be no big deal. So there's this one dealer who comes in, and she's like a middle-aged Asian woman, relatively attractive, and she starts pitching the cards. And Janine's in the one seat, and as the girl goes to pitch, it hits her hand and the card tables. And I just look at her, I go, "Get your dick beaters out of the way." And she starts dying. The old men just about lynch me. Like, they were not fucking having it. They just immediately went into like into Papa
Bear mode.
Yeah, and just like let me know how out of line I
Wow.
was and everything else. And I really did feel like, oh, like even before I said it, I was just like, this one's close. This one's close. I'm not sure if I can sneak
Yeah,
this
I
one
didn't-
by, but it's too good for me to pass on.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I didn't know that when you said old creepy guys, like you were talking about yourself.
I
Like,
didn't know that you were the creepy guy in the situation, not
I
them.
was not the creepy guy. But as it like calmed down, like a couple minutes go by, and everybody kind of like, you know, the tension eases or whatever. This guy in the 5 seat or whatever
Uh-oh.
basically just like offers
opened
to
the-
impregnate the dealer.
You
And
opened
I'm
the
just
door.
like, what the fuck is going on here?
Because yeah, you see, that's the thing too. Is people don't. But here's the thing: is so you were friends with the girl, right?
Yeah.
You had a rapport.
Yeah.
People think that just because you say it to your friend,
Yeah, that they
like,
can do it.
right? That you're cool and you're dirty and you're
He was like one of the first ones to jump on me for saying it
Right.
to her.
because he thinks it's the same thing. Friends joking like that,
Yeah.
and him saying it to a stranger.
Well, it's the same thing as like we'll talk about this like off the show where you'll be like, I wish I could make this joke. And I'm like, it's fine. That's like our banter. And you're like, but I don't want like random guys to like think it's okay.
Oh, you'll get white knighted
and
so
it's like,
hard
no,
and I'll get
not
canceled.
white knighted to that they'll think it's okay to like make
Oh, yeah,
inappropriate
that
jokes
too.
at me like when I don't know them.
Right,
Whereas
right.
like it's like, no, you need to like build a rapport with me in order to like for me to be okay with that stuff. Otherwise you're just coming off as
Yeah,
a
I
creep.
just thought it was like particularly hilarious that like he stood up for a situation where he thought like I was out of line and then
Yeah.
immediately turned around and got worse.
Yeah.
Like he found a way to just like one up me very quickly and make this dealer like want to crawl out of her skin.
But also, is that term used outside of our friend group?
I don't think so. That's why
never
I
heard it.
I've never
Right.
heard
That's why I wanted to introduce
Right.
it.
Like you said that so casually to her,
Yeah.
but like from someone from the outside looking in, I would
was
I would
shocking.
never say that to a girl at a poker table, no matter if I knew her.
Oh, come
because
on. If it's your friend, why not?
I guess but if you ever used that term,
if Danielle
front
was
of her?
at the table with you, you wouldn't use it?
okay, that's different. Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you understand then.
But Danielle has used that term, and we've all like used it in our friend group. Whereas,
If
like,
I
I don't
thought-
think Janine has ever used that
if
term.
I
or
thought
even
that-
heard of that term.
Listen, if she were upset, then I would wholeheartedly agree with you.
Okay, yeah. When you said you thought about it, you said, "Oh, this is close." Right.
Right, 'cause I didn't
yeah.
necessarily know how
But
she was gonna react,
Right.
but I thought it was too
you
good to
got-
pass
I
up
guess
on.
like from the
Dick
outside
beaters
looking
is
in,
crazy.
like yeah. Have you ever heard?
That's like really
wild.
strong.
Right.
Like your dick
that is
beaters.
Marley,
so
feel free to use
It's
that
your
one.
hands, you know.
Dick beater.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. You have a good point, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. I don't think anybody was confused at what I
Yeah,
was getting
I put it
at.
together.
Of course.
You sure
I'm gonna
you
start
were
using that
watching-
to you guys.
You weren't doing anything when you were a kid with that porn, like the dick
understand.
beaters.
That's funny. It's not even mine. I wish I could take credit for it. It's Garrity.
Yeah, it's Garrity's. Yeah.
Garrity actually.
He's the first one I heard.
Dick beaters.
Yeah.
Is strong.
He honestly, I should hang out with him more. Like he was very good at coming up with funny vernacular.
Yeah.
For such a quiet kid. He was very original whenever it came to that kind of stuff. Also, almost all of it was inappropriate now that I think about it.
Most
like a
of it,
4-card
yeah.
straight.
Yeah,
We can't say
Oh
that on
my
air.
god, that's my favorite term.
I need to know what this is. I don't know
so
what it is.
good.
We'll tell you off air. You just can't say it.
so
you just can't
funny,
say it.
man.
It's inappropriate, especially in 2022.
I
It'll
still
absolutely get you
say it,
canceled.
but like I just texted to my friend. Like I can't say it out loud.
Yeah, they.
For the Patreon.
That's for the Patreon.
Patreon.
Right. Can't get canceled on Patreon. They're paying for it.
Right.
It's pay per
That
view.
shit's funny, bro.
Marley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yay.
That seat's open all week. I'm just saying, if you want to come back, you're
I used
always
up like
more than
material
welcome.
today. I have nothing else to talk about.
Well, we haven't had a run of show.
Mukbangs, that was my big thing. I was in the middle with
Mukbangs, yeah.
mukbangs. And I-
Oh God.
It's over.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't have introduced me to
It's-
that.
He's gonna be watching them all night.
No, I will not.
100%.
I
You'll be
can't.
mesmerized
Things
by
like
it.
that just like turn my stomach instantly.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
gross.
I like
Wild.
watching a necrophiliac talk about sticking his hand in a
but that
jar
was
of
actually
mayonnaise.
interesting. Can I just explain that? Because I know it sounds a bit bad when I say I would let him have his way with me. And I don't think I actually would. But I don't have a choice.
Well,
He's
you're
going
dead.
to dig my grave up, he can. But like the way he has such reverence for dead bodies and that I really like that. I think a good interview is when you come out of it, having a different perspective on
Right.
And so I definitely
What
did.
you're really saying is you've never been that respected while you were alive. You would hope
Yes,
that your dead
sexually,
body.
no, I have. he was like, I just like to lay with the dead bodies.
Oh my god.
Okay, I take it back. He's a better cuddler than me.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I'm out on
my
spooning the
God.
dead body.
He seemed kind.
Yeah,
all.
sounds real fucking kind.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow maybe we're gonna have a run of show. We're gonna try. It's been quite some time. That's gonna do it from us. I'm supposed to promote the Academy again. God bless it. Ay, ay, ay. I'm
Read
only
the
getting
script.
upset because there are specific things I'm supposed to say, and I don't
Corny.
remember what they were. Per Justin.
Justin's gonna kill you.
I've blown this 3 days in a row now. But anyway, we have one seat remaining. We had a cancellation, so there is one seat open. Possibly, we're not sure. We do have second set of dates open April 26th through April 29th. The first set of dates is April 27th through the 30th. Potentially one seat remaining. We can clarify that via email. But it will be a 4-day experience. 2 days of Poker Out Loud gameplay, 2 days of game theory study. Brought to you by the Solve for Why coaching crew, including myself, Matt Hunt, Christian Soto, Chris Konvalinka, and Landon Tice. we can't wait to have you guys, host you guys, and analyze your gameplay. So hopefully if you are looking forward to playing Poker Out Loud, this will be an opportunity that you can't pass on. Again, we have one seat open for these dates, and we've just opened up a second set of dates. So head to academy.solveforwhy.io for that. I think that's it. I think that's it for stuff to plug. We're going to talk high stakes poker tomorrow. There's a specific hand that I don't know that we're going to talk about yet, but I am going to get the footage for it. So no more screenshots. We're actually going to have some footage for you guys. Thanks to Poker Go. Big shout out to them. New episode every Monday. Usually we talk about it on Tuesdays, but we have special guests today. So we're going to back end that till tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We should be back live again, 1 p.m. tomorrow. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps us in the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all tomorrow.
We out.
Peace.